It is October 25th, 2023. Welcome back to another BRAP. I have with me tonight the panel of Game Logic and Slow-Mo. King KDR Backslap. What is going on, everyone? Big shout out to everyone in the live chat. Thank you, everyone, for joining us tonight. Really appreciate it, as always. And do me a quick favor and smash that like button if you haven't done so already. I'm going to drop a link here in the live chat. And let everyone know that we're live. But feel free to drop it on your favorite social media platform, whether it's X, whether it's Facebook, or wherever. Just let everyone know. So, yes, please, no spoilers. We won't spoil anything related to Spider-Man, but we'll talk a little bit of Spider-Man, too, here in just a second. But first, I want to formally introduce the panel. We got Game Logic. Logic, how are you this evening?
I'm all right, man. How are you?
Good. Basil says, spoiler alert, Spider-Man 2 has swinging. It does have swinging. That's pretty funny. MySpace, I don't think, is MySpace still a thing? I wonder.
I don't think so.
Yeah, I don't think so either. I think you're right, Slow-Mo. On that note, we have King KD himself, Slow-Mo. King KD, a.k.a. Run Away When You See Him on Halo. A.K.A.
Oh, my God.
The Teabagger. A.K.A. He's better than Forte. What's up, Slow-Mo?
See, what do we do? What's up, man? Here's a spoiler for Spider-Man. There are no actual spiders in Spider-Man.
No actual spiders. They are rats, though.
No, like, yeah, I mean, it's New York. I mean, no offense to New York. Actually,
DC's got some rats too, man. Let's not.
DC definitely got rats. It's definitely they're mutant rats. You know, a bunch of splinters running around.
Yeah,
but yeah. I heard the rats in New York have evolved. They're
like dogs.
They got degrees and stuff.
Oh man, they got degrees. Wow, that's funny. But yeah, no. Great to have you, Slow-Mo. We do have a lot to talk about here. There's definitely a lot of gaming related news to talk about, and we're gonna talk about some of the games that we're playing as well, because I mean the onslaught of content continues to 2023. Slow-Mo, I have not gotten around to this. I did re-download Halo Infinite, but the new Season 5 is here, and I think you've been playing it. What are your thoughts of Halo Infinite so far?
Well, I mean, I said Halo was back last year, as far as it was content. There was enough content there to justify playing the game. And now there's just even more content. They have they're bringing back Firefight, which hasn't really been a part of Halo since, I think, Reach. You can now do like Forge created Firefight stuff, and they're working on official stuff that will be out before the season ends. But it's that's in there if you wanna partake in that. They got a lot of different modes. The last time I played with my homie Taz, and me and him was just like, hey, what mode you want to do? It was just so much to do there, and for once I wasn't just sitting at Team Slayer or playing on rank. So it was a lot of fun. The new maps are good. They are good, although I think one of the arena maps might be a little too big. Pause for some of the modes, like the 4v4 modes they have. I forgot the name of it, but it's just when you're playing that and you got like those control kind of mode where you gotta like hold A, B, and C. It's like the map is too big for 4 players to like realistically get back and forth to each control point. And with Team Slayer, it kind of slows down the process, because you kill somebody and then they respawn, like, you know, their teammates are like far away from you, and it's frustrating. But I mean, outside of that map, the other ones are great. They got some more big team battle size maps that you're not really just using for big team battle. They're just there for other modes as well that would require that size of a map. So it's pretty cool. I'm enjoying it. Forte's supposed to be joining me soon. He said next time we play something, he's going to play Halo. So finally, he'll play Halo. But it's pretty good. I mean, you should get back into it. My one last thing. Although the desync is improved, it is not all the way gone. I had a particular. I played Super Fiesta with Taz, and we had a particular moment where I shot a rocket at a guy twice, and it went through. It went straight through the guy. He kills me with a shotgun. He takes like 5 steps, and then this explosion occurs, and he dies. And then it says I got a kill from the grave, and I'm like, no, because I shot the rocket before I was dead. I was like in the middle of my cooldown, my countdown to respawn, and it's just like, yeah, that's a massive desync issue. So like they still gotta get that stuff fixed, but I think it's going to be difficult for them to do that. I think it's likely the reason why it's been 2 years now, and there's still desync issues. I think it's likely due to something with the game engine itself. That's just it's difficult for them to be able to fix it without having to rebuild everything they did with the engine or whatever. So other than that, it's pretty cool, man.
Yeah, I've been giving. Obviously, I downloaded it, and I've been giving some thought about going back to it. There's just so much content out right now that it's just hard for me to set some time aside to hop back on. But
right,
how's the competition now?
I would have played it more if Spider-Man 2 didn't come out. I would have been playing it a whole lot more.
Exactly. Yeah.
I'm chasing the platinum for Spider-Man 2. It is within reach, so yeah.
Nice, yeah. But how's the competition on Halo Infinite? Like, do you feel like it's the same?
There's more players. Okay, so remember back how when we used to play it and all the time, and we would be in Team Slayer, and we would see another full stack, a full team, and then hey, it's those guys again. And then it's those guys again. It's like you're like almost like we're playing in a party together. We're not. It's just it seems these are the only people with this good a ping in our area. That's also in our SBMM skill gap, and it's just because there wasn't a lot of people around. And funny enough, I actually had a match against some of the people, 2 or 3 people in the community. They were playing together. And I was shocked to see that because I was hadn't seen them at all, since I've been playing Halo Infinite. But it seems there's more people there.
Yeah, who were they?
Oh, it was Yuso Vinny and 2 of them I can remember off the top of my head. Yuso Vinny and Infinite Umbra. I played against both of them in a control match. They definitely won because it was just like me and Taz, but it's fine. I had the best KD, of course.
Oh, I mean,
it wasn't a team slayer match.
I'm not surprised by that, but yeah.
But it wasn't a team slayer match, so it don't matter. But we, it's part of the reason why I stick to Team Slayer is that because in that match,
Slayer,
the nag real quick in that match. Our other 2 teammates were not even attempting to take the control points. So it was just like me and Taz both trying to get control points. These other 2 guys are dying left and right.
Yeah.
And they're not going to, at least if you can't kill nobody, at least take your behind to a control point that no one is even near and take these points back so they can stop scoring. And it's just like they would even do that.
Exactly.
So
yeah.
This is why
they have ashy armor on.
Stick to Team Slayer.
They have ashy armor on.
Oh, absolutely, the ashiest. They needed some cocoa butter. It was pretty bad. But no, it's just oh crap! I just realized yes, okay, I just outed myself. I'm playing Spider-Man 2. I just saw a spider bot, so I was like, oh, there's a spider bot. No, they definitely had ashy armor on. You know, the kind of armor that looked like it was just dragged down the street behind a truck for like an hour or so. And I don't know. I don't know where their skill-based matchmaking was or anything, but it was just like, I don't even know why you're here. But anyway, no, it was just from what I've been hearing is that a lot more people are playing the game now. At least they were to try out the update this week. I don't know where it's at right now. I haven't checked, but I would like to hope there people are still playing it so that like once I got this platinum with Spider-Man out the way, I can focus on playing my multiplayer games again.
Yeah, no, I hear you, man. I mean, that's again, Spider-Man's the reason why I haven't got back to Halo. And I may get back. I may get back to Halo at some point in the near future. But I'm glad to hear that you're having a good time with it. That's good. Want to welcome real quick to the panel. We got EJ, Eric Jackson. Everyone, what's up, E?
What's good, gents? What's going on? How y'all doing?
Yeah,
good, man. Good, man. Happy to have you.
Glad
Happy you could join us, man. Appreciate it.
Yeah, man. Plans I told you about earlier fell through, so I said, you know what? Let's go ahead. Let's jump in here. I gotta jump in, man. I gotta get on you, bro. Saying nobody playing Halo. Nobody play that.
Oh my gosh, you big hater, Eric.
Because I know how annoyed that makes people. They just don't want to believe that, you know.
Yeah, people
not
get
you
upset.
guys, not the real game, but you know, yeah.
He said, "Not you guys, the real gamers."
You know, people, Slow-mo, you know, in this community, people get validation for everything. They need your approval before they can enjoy it to the fullest, you know?
Is it okay that I like this? Is it okay?
Right,
okay?
Yeah.
Okay, I hate it. I hate it then. Yeah. I hate everyone that likes it. It's like, what?
Right. You get like the visual of Dave Chappelle, like, I hate you. I hate your guts. He's like, I hope all the bad things in life happen to you and only you because you don't like the game that I like.
Right. It's like, it's funny because it's like dudes only play games in this community that everyone else is talking about. And it seems like even they don't even like the game. They don't like anything about it, but they're either playing it, hate playing it, or they're fake playing it and they don't play any games at all. And they just like talking about and bragging about stuff that they don't even enjoy, games they don't even partake in. It's just
right.
Yeah.
I don't know what the point is.
Like I remember when we were running Halo Infinite pretty consistently last year. It was like me, Slow-mo, Logic, and I think Forte would join us every once in a while. We were having a blast, and it was funny because every once in a while people would be like, "Oh, Brap, you're a pony." I'm like, "Yeah, I'm playing Halo Infinite every night." You know, and like
meanwhile, they hadn't played Halo since the first week of launch.
And I'm like,
and those were like the same guys telling people that they weren't like real fans if they didn't like that initial reveal, and you were like, that reveal didn't look right. What are you talking about? It looked like old Halo. It looks incredible. You're not a real fan, and it wasn't until Microsoft said, "Yeah, we're gonna delay it." That's the right move. I think that's what they should. Like, everything's y'all for real out here with this.
Everything's great. You know, Father God. So
man,
this is
people trying to tell me, you know, someone who's read Halo books. Okay, yeah, I'm that kind of nerd. Read Halo books. You don't know Halo. You're not a real Halo fan if you want it delayed again out of 2021. I'm like, yes, I want it delayed again. They're going to launch with 0 co-op, 0 multiplayer and campaign. They're going to, and I mean, at that time, we didn't even know how bare bones the multiplayer was. Like if everyone knew all the stuff that we knew about that launch now, like, there's very few people that have been like, yes, go ahead and still launch it then. But like, really, like we saw so many people who knew at that time PlayStation didn't have a first party game coming out in that time frame. And so they just wanted to have a one up on the competition. Like, screw your console war. I want my Halo right.
Mm-hmm.
And when the player base died, where were they? Not playing Halo.
But I would wager that's the mark of a real fan. A real fan wants the thing that they really care about to be on point, so they have no problem with the delay. The capper is the one that's like, now let's push it out because I need this list war, man, because we dying out here.
Mm-hmm.
These ponies killing us right now. We need the list. And a real fan wants
we need our list war, man.
You got to hold it back and make it on point because I want it to be what I know it to be. And we need that list war. And I would argue you guys, as a collective right here on this panel, probably have more hours in Halo Infinite than some of the biggest Xbox, quote unquote, Xbox dudes who talk all day.
Oh, I know that for a
everybody
fact.
goes to for like their information and the facts.
I know that for a fact that we have played more Halo Infinite than some of the prominent Xbox influencers.
Yeah,
or
just people in the community who do the most talking on Twitter because it just the math doesn't add up. It's not mathing. Logic, you might agree with this. The math or math when you're on Twitter all day long. You can't do both. You can't always put the hours in and be on Twitter all day long, keeping up with everything.
Not when you're not posting clips of your gameplay.
But that's the other thing. Get that screenshot in. It's in game. You got that screenshot in.
That's the screenshot of the title screen with your feet in socks and the controller in your hand. And that's the only shot of the game that I ever see on your timeline.
That's
never to be seen again.
Yeah.
I'm still in the tutorial.
We put the work, guys. We did it. We got the list. Anyway, I'm gonna stop slandering next.
That's funny, man.
But no, it was funny. Remember like how Elden Ring was?
No, thanks for having
me.
It was like,
no doubty. Yeah.
I just want y'all to know I love everything y'all saying right now.
And we got Forte. Are you at work?
Y'all saying right now.
Are you at work right now, Forte?
I'm on my way home.
Oh, okay.
I'm on my way home.
I heard. Okay, I thought I heard like. Yeah.
I was just gonna wait till I got there, and I was like, no, I gotta jump in. I love what you're saying right now. This is great because guess what? You're supposed to hold that. Man, listen, fans of Halo don't care about none of that stuff everybody was talking about. The game shouldn't be delayed. I felt like y'all know how I feel about that game.
Yeah,
and it's to the point where I told everybody I ain't playing that game until it's right. So now I'll jump in there and play because I told Slow-Mo I would play with him because the game is a lot better and it does seem like it's a lot funner now. But y'all right, because I can tell you right now, I barely played Halo over the course of this entire year, and I guarantee you I have more hours than most of these people that's out here tapping.
Yep.
I guarantee I have more hours in Halo Infinite, multiplayer and single player, than most of these people out here that's talking all this mess.
There's guys out here who didn't even beat the campaign. Look, I can. If you're the kind of Halo person that's just like you don't really care for the multiplayer, you love the campaign and the story though, and you beat the campaign and you're going to jump back on for Firefight. That's fine. That's fine. And the multiplayer, look, not everybody can be a killer or a hunter. You know what I'm saying? Some of y'all are bullet dumpsters, and it's okay if you're a bullet dumpster. Like stick to the PvE stuff. That's fine. But it's just like there's dudes out here talking about Halo is back, and they never even beat the campaign. It's just like, bro, can you not like talk about Halo at all?
It's popping.
Yeah, it's just like what are you talking about, bro? Like I get with Halo kind of like how Souls fans get about From Software when people say stuff like it needs an easy mode or stuff like that. Like you want to trigger a Souls fan, say some nonsense like that, right?
Oh, let me tell you, that is when someone says that, I'm like, you grew up in the participation trophy era. You do not get a trophy for being in third place. You don't get an easy mode in a From Software game. You just got to get good.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Samo.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, it's just I'm happy that it's in a better place, and I'm hoping that like I know it will always have a stable player base because the Halo community itself will come back to it. It's just that everyone else, like, that's not all Xbox wants. They know they got the Halo community. They know they'll come back when the game is right. They want, like everyone else on the platform, to go play Halo. They want it to be so popular that it stays within like the top 5 most played things on Xbox all year round. And can it get there? Who knows? But I think Pierre Heinz being in charge of 343 is finally, for once, like in the past decade, a good management move that was made, because the dude fixed Master Chief Collection. He knows what Halo needs, and he's not lying to the community. Like, they lied to the community when they said that the Paramount producers worked with the 343 the 343 narrative team on the Halo TV show. That was a lie. Paramount exposed them when they said the only person they spoke to was Kiki.
Kiki, are you with me? Sorry.
Right?
We can tell watching it, like they ain't talking.
Yeah,
a human in the Covenant trash TV show.
No, Human in the Covenant. What is that? Like, Human in the Covenant? They're listening to her? No, that's not.
The Chief taking his helmet off any chance he can get,
showing his butt cheeks.
Exactly. This man had his butt cheeks exposed more times than he had his helmet on and actually fighting. And it's just like, ain't no way the narrative team actually approved of this nonsense.
We're just going to take his helmet off, multiple scenes. Like, what?
Yeah. Stop lying to your community. They lied about we'll never launch another Halo game without multiplayer. Bonnie Ross should have just fell on the sword right then and there when she decided to launch that game like that, because she promised they would never do that again. And that was talking about offline couch split screen co-op. They launched without that network co-op. It's just like,
who plays couch co-op anymore?
But let's be for real.
Who asked for that?
Was that really? But this is the thing, though. Was that really a Bonnie Ross decision to release that game? To release that game?
Well, ultimately, it wasn't her decision.
That's
but something. Hold on. Something that former 343 developers has said about her was that she did not fight hard enough for the things that they needed and the things that were important for Halo. So.
Oh, I agree with that, 100%.
So she didn't. She never get. Well, I mean, look, we're talking about hearsay here, so we don't know for certain. But they said that she never gave enough pushback to be like, no, we shouldn't launch like this. No, we said this. Mm-hmm. This is what we need to do. You know, that kind of stuff. She didn't fight for them. When they wanted to, it wasn't like her decision to decide to go make their a new engine, a slip space engine for Halo Infinite. That was a decision above her head, and she didn't say, no, this is a bad idea, or, you know, if you want us to do that when we're already in development on the game on a different engine, like, what are we doing here? Like, these are the kind of things that, like, it's funny because it seems like the other studios under Xbox have the authority to tell Matt Booty to shut up and mind his business, like Playground did about Fable. But 343, like the studios that were actually built up by Xbox, seem to have had a different a relationship with the executives, and it's just I don't know, man.
Yeah. All right, let's move on to. I appreciate your insight here on Halo, but I want to move on to another game that I think many of us are playing here before we get into some of the news items. Spider-Man 2's out. I'm playing it right now. I'm only 4 hours in. I got late start to it because I was actually out. Huh?
Sorry, no, go ahead.
Oh, yeah, 4 hours in. Hey, Slow-Mo, I meant Slow-Mo.
Go ahead, man.
Nah, man, now you're making fun of my cadence, man. Look, so Slow-Mo, I meant to ask you, man, have you been to Horace and Dickey's?
What? No, what is that?
Oh, you don't know Horace and Dickey's? The fish place in DC? Oh, we have to talk, sir.
Man.
Oh, best fish fry, man.
We'll talk.
Yeah, Slow-Mo's like, why are you? I popped into Slow-Mo's live stream. By the way, great live stream, Slow-Mo. I popped into Slow-Mo's live stream. I'm like, Slow-Mo, have you been to Mission Barbecue? He's like, Brap, why are you always asking me about food places? But anyhow,
about Ben's Chili Bowl that hadn't been there since
Ben's Chili
Florida Avenue Day.
Ben Chili Bowl's good, man.
And only people from the DMV know what Florida Avenue Day is. But,
but Ben Chili Bowl's good too. People from the DV may only know what Ben Chili Bowl's, maybe not. But anyhow, so yeah, 4 hours in. I'm only 4 hours in. I think Logic 6 hours in. Slow-mo, it sounds like you may have beaten the game. I think you're working on the platinum.
I have. Yeah.
Okay. E, are you playing it right now?
Yeah, I'm about 9 hours in.
9 hours in. Okay. And then Forte, are you playing it? Okay. I don't Forte. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
No, I think he's driving. I think he says, "Hey, heading back home." So maybe he's moving. Something.
No, Forte appreciated all the praise we were giving Halo. As soon as we started talking about Spider-Man 3, he had to drop off.
Exactly.
Coincidence.
He's like, this is too much PlayStation talk for me, guys. I got to go. But no, just my quick thoughts. It's the traversal is fucking amazing. It is so good. So smooth. The combat is fun. I'm having a blast playing this game. Yeah, it's just without giving too much away. It's those set pieces gave me God of War, early God of not the more recent God of Wars, but like God of War 3. You know, when you're climbing Gaia, those big set pieces. I mean, it just gave me the vibes early on. I mean, it's from what I've played so far, it's just a solid game. I'm really enjoying it. So. And it looks great. Like I'm playing on fidelity mode with VRR enabled, 120 hertz, and it just it runs so butter smooth, man. It looks so good. I'm just having a blast. So, E, what are your quick impressions on what you've played so far, minus any spoilers?
No, I'm really enjoying it. I don't really have any spoilers to give out just yet. Honestly, I'm not. I've been doing like side quest stuff and kind of moving around. I'm just probably hitting a point where people already kind of know about. And then look, I can't do from where I'm at right now, 9 hours in. I can't do any more damage for revealing stuff than Insomniac did. You know, in all those trailers. So, but I think the best thing I did was I went on blackout, like probably like 6 months ago or so. Like I wasn't watching anything, so a lot of stuff that I'm seeing, I hadn't even really, didn't really know about, so I'm like, I feel like I'm in a good place with that, but no, man, so far so good, man. I'm really, really digging it. Like you said, traversal is fantastic. I know there's a fast travel in there, but I have no desire to use it because, I mean, honestly, the addition of like, the wingsuit alone has been like, I said, wow, man, these dudes, they're flexing, man. It's like, I'm not saying, I know some people were throwing out like Superman, but I'm like, there's other heroes that fly that could be pretty cool, and then they're kind of showing them some of the way to do that, but no, and story wise, like I'm intrigued. I'm definitely like into kind of where I think they're going with it. So yeah, I don't really have any major complaints. I did get a crash today. That like it just kind of the game just quit on me. But so far, I had that, and I had a HUD bug, like something like kind of disappeared on my HUD, then it popped back up again. But that was about it so far, as far as like any major issues. So,
yeah. I got to say, I love the interpretation. Someone said this in the chat, and I haven't come across Venom just yet, but I love the interpretation of Craven. And actually, Logic and I were talking.
This version. Yeah. So far, the styling of him, the look of him, because Craven can be like a hit or miss character. Like you have people who are major fans of him, but a lot of times, some writers and some artists in storylines, it's like been hit or miss. Like he can come off as kind of goofy and corny, right? So far, like the way that they've handled him, just like in his look, his style, and kind of like how they're going about it, I'm digging it.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah, I haven't seen anything yet. I really enjoyed what they did with Craven, and
Logic.
You'll see how it plays out. Of course, I beat the game, so I'm not gonna spoil anything. But it definitely, Craven was very well done. I appreciate that with that.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Go ahead. I'll keep my impressions to get after you guys are done.
Yeah, go ahead, E. So just that one bug you mentioned, or I guess two bugs?
Yeah, that's pretty much what I've hit so far as like any, like any major glitches or bugs or anything like that. I know that's like a hot topic discussion going on in the timelines. then the whataboutisms and all that stuff. But I figured I would address it, I don't know what other people are running into, but that's what I've had so far. But yeah, but when we get to Slow-Mo, I have like some questions for him, in particular about combat, like how he feels about the combat.
Yeah. I'm only 4 hours in, but what I've experienced with the combat so far has been pretty sad. It's been fun, pretty satisfying, the combos and everything, and the different abilities you get during combat. I thought it's been pretty well done. So it's cool when either Peter or Miles pops in when you're fighting the bad guys. I want to go to Logic. I know Logic, I think you have maybe more than 6 hours now. What have been your early impressions so far of Spider-Man 2?
I'm going to go ahead and get into some of my negatives because I know everybody's going to give it a lot of praise. So maybe I'll give a couple minutes of praise. I'm going to also steal E's question to Slow-Mo and start talking a little bit about the combat. One thing I'll say about the combat and what I really like about the game is in Spider-Man and Miles, I felt like the game went from you're fighting thugs, which are total scrubs, to you're in a boss battle. And there really wasn't that much in between, right? I mean, maybe fighting the underground, right? But even fighting the underground didn't feel entirely high threat. But in this game, I feel like there's really good tangible. So it was a lot like the sports game problem, right? Where you put the sports game on easy, it's far too simple. As soon as you ratchet it up one level, all of a sudden you can't score anything, right? But right. I feel like there's really good graduated scaling between common street thugs to the flame guys to when Kraven's hunters come on the screen, like. For me, it's time to lean forward, put elbows on knees, right, and get to work. I feel like there's a tangible difference in their challenge between them and like the common street thugs, and then the boss battles are just like off the chain. Some of the negatives, and I haven't personally I haven't just run into any bugs that have been. I just haven't run into any. I haven't run into any cosmetic, no. What I refer to as suspension of disbelief bugs, and definitely no impactful bugs that cause me to like not be able to complete a mission or system crash or anything like that. Some of the negatives, for me, BRAP and I talked about this a little bit earlier in the week, and this is a game. A couple of these are like hyper specific game logic things that I don't personally like. I do not like flashbacks in games. The Last of Us 2 just kind of broke the final straw on the camel's back for me with that. Like now it's a nope. So this game crosses that a little bit too. The other thing is, and then I don't going all the way back to Max Payne and the drug sequence in that game. I also don't like, dream sequences, drug sequences, hallucinatory sequences, things that like, a thing happens and then, but it doesn't really, it's, you can't tell if it's like, impactful
Logic,
or not.
That Max Payne sequence, that dream sequence you're talking about, that really, I played that game like 20 something years ago, and I don't remember a whole lot from that time frame at times from games that I played, but that sequence sticks out to me for some reason. I remember it pretty vividly, probably because it was a little disturbing, but it broke the immersiveness of that game for me. And I remember thinking, why is this here? Like I just felt like it didn't need it, but I'm sorry. Go ahead, man.
Yeah. So those are just a little couple, sort of my pet peeves. Things that are below the pet peeve level. Like and I know that I'm not a story guy. Like I'm a very mechanical, clinical approach to games. And those are the things that stimulate me. Like I just do not care about the relationship between, Peter Parker and Harry Osborn. So like, that's just not impactful to me. There's a very slight mechanical nit. It's not a bug, but there are times where depending on how you have the camera oriented, on either of the Spider-Mans, when you are in wingsuit and you transition to a web swing, where if the camera's not like directly behind them, oftentimes you will transition into you will be in the wingsuit, you'll transition and flip or whatever and go into web swing, and you'll wind up swinging like in some wackadoodle direction opposite or 180 or 120 degrees out from where you were actually headed, and then have to get turned around. And then there are very small, like, there's a little bit of a suffering from like the Assassin's Creed problem. Remember when Assassin's Creed had that version, that iteration that it put out where they had made mantling automatic, and the result was like you would just be like walking through a bazaar, and like if you got next to like like a table, like all of it, you were jumping on top of it and climbing all over the place, and then like in the next one they back that off a little bit. There's a little bit of that where like both sometimes you mantle or run up something or engage with something in the world that like really wasn't your intention, and then also sometimes like I'll be standing in front of a wall trying to wall crawl up it, but he'll be jumping and he'll just never attach to the wall for some reason. But then I'll go like 10 feet over and do the same thing on a wall, and he will. So there are some small nits like that kind of pull a little bit of the shine off of it. But overall, I mean, it's absolutely the best game I've played this year. But I think there's enough of a sentiment of small things like that, plus a little bit of sameness, this being the third time out, because people, and this is, I'm not talking about how I feel, I'm talking about how I sense the media is feeling. Because Miles Morales was billed really, Sony even didn't really bill it as an expandable like they did with Lost Legacy. They really tried to make a big deal out of it being a standalone. And I think that may work against them a little bit, where people are treating this like it's the third time out, and there's a bit of a sentiment of sameness about it. And I think, going into the launch in the first day or so, I was like, this is a shoe-in for Game of the Year. But now I'm like, I think Game of the Year is still, I think this game definitely gets a nomination, but I think it's still going to be a fight.
Yeah, I still think Game of the Year is going to be Baldur's Gate 3, but no, I agree with some of your points, Logic. Like, there were times where in combat there would be like things that I couldn't wall crawl up, and I'm like, well, Spider-Man, I should be able to do that. Like, that just doesn't make any sense. But I mean, I know we talked about like you and I talked off air about the flashbacks in this game. I didn't mind it as much, but there was specifics there was parts of the flashback which I didn't think that I needed to have an active role in. I'm like, I don't need to be doing this. Like, just give me the flashback and just get to the point that you're trying to not make, but just get to that story, building up that background story, and that's it. It didn't have to be what it was. So, and I don't like spider bots. I feel like, I mean, look, I just feel like it's just annoying. I want to.
They could have did without the spider bots. That's the one thing that's annoying me about trying to get this platinum is finding all the spider bots, because they don't show up on the map. You literally have to just glide around and keep scanning until you catch their little radio frequency bubble. And it's just like, even then it's like they put them under like bridges and all kinds of stuff. Sometimes they're just floating out like in like 50 feet in the air for no reason. It's a spider bot. How is it doing that? Does it have wings? Like, why is it doing that? And it's just like, yeah, why it's an easier platinum than the previous games. But that one little part just annoyed the heck out of me. So
now I feel like
somebody.
I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, I was just gonna say real quick. I guess somebody there liked finding orbs in Crackdown or something.
Yeah, but those are easy to see.
That's what it sounds.
You can see the orbs from like halfway across the map. These spider bots, like, they don't show up unless you scan for them, and you could be at the top. Like right now, I'm at like in the financial district, sitting on top of one of the highest buildings, and I know there's supposed to be how many. Okay, I got all the spider bots that are in this area, but like in other areas, they'll be like, you need 3 more spider bots, and I'm just scanning and never finding them. I'm about to just pull out a guide at this point just so I can get that over with, because everything else is super easy. It's just this stuff is annoying. So yeah.
Yeah.
Go ahead, guys. Go ahead and continue.
I like how the map, like the map as a world, and the little tchotchkes, right, that you find, right, is more organic, right, than Spider-Man or Miles, right. It's not Iconopalooza when you pull up the map. You'll just be traversing the city, and you'll just see a blue thing, right, kind of appear right within your field of view, and you'll drop down, and it's not on the map, right, and you'll drop down and investigate it, right, and it'll be, a tech cache, right, and you'll get it and add that to your tech thing. So I feel like there's a lot less like, Assassin's Creed, Origins, Odyssey, Valhalla of like, 50 bajillion nine, icons on the map of stuff for you to go do. That content is still there, but there's much more of an organic feel, right, in your interaction with the city, I think, than the earlier games.
Yeah, no, that's a great point. Logic. Did you have any other thoughts on Spider-Man 2 before I move to Slow-Mo?
Yeah, I think my last thing is look, I am much more interested in Miles than I am Peter Parker. I won't go into all the details of why behind that BRAP. You and I have talked a lot about that this week. But what I do, so I think it's a really great move to have them both as playable characters in the game. One of the things I really like, I haven't counted icons, but like my sense of it from just looking at the UI is that. So number one, I've always felt like since the first two games that I much prefer Miles' power set, and playing him in combat, he's so much more interesting and fun. It feels a lot better, than playing as Peter. And so because of that, I do really find it interesting, and I think it's a great design move that Peter's skill tree seems wider and deeper than Miles's, which I think is a nice balance, right? If Miles is the kind of more, at the end of the day, Miles is the more powerful character, right, in these games. It's nice that's been balanced out by widening Peter's level ups that he can go through. He definitely feels better. In the power sets he has this game definitely feel better than they felt in the first game, and makes him a little more multidimensional and a little more fun to play in combat.
Yeah, no, that's a great point. Slow-Mo, your thoughts on Spider-Man? I know you're playing it right now, trying to get that platinum. You don't like the spider bots? Actually, before we get to your
I hate the spider bots.
Yeah, before we get to your thoughts on Spider-Man 2. I want to grab this super chat here. Button Basher, can't even talk. Button Basher Gaming with a $5 super chat. Thank you for that, Button Basher. Says here supported. Keep up the good work, guys. Thank you for that super chat, Button Basher. Appreciate it. But go ahead, Slow-Mo.
Real quick. Where are you guys in the game? I just want to make sure that
no spoilers.
Whatever I say is I'm not trying to spoil anything.
I just got to Craven's hideout, just discovered what he's up to, what he's plotting.
But part of the problem with Slow-Mo is even to answer that question, it's like you got to spoil, to describe where you're at in the game.
Yeah, true. I won't bring up anything spoiler related. Yeah. You got two of you guys had questions about the combat. What were the questions you had? Because I know E said you had a question, and then Logic, you said you had a question as well.
No, I said I was stealing initiative and answering the question on combat before he got around to you.
Okay, got it.
He stole the question that was directed at you, but.
E, what was your question?
Just out there, I just wanted to know what you guys felt about combat, because I know that was a question that kind of came up on timeline about I've seen other people kind of mention this too, are the villains too tough, or are they too spongy? Are they too And I think Logic answered that in a really good way. It's like a ramp up, it would be tougher. Yeah, go ahead.
I think you could say that maybe some of the bosses have too many phases. Mm-hmm. It seems like as you progress through the game, you're going to end up getting you run into a lot of bosses, and it's just like, man, It's like, is it another intermission? Like, what is happening? And it's just like, oh, okay, all right. And then you could actually see their extra life bars under their like the little like the extra lives they have under their bubble, and it's just like, oh boy, okay. So I already know I'm going to fight you 3 times. That's just the way this is going to go. And so I do like the combat better than the first game overall. The first 2 games overall, I feel like combat has improved, and I can say that with complete confidence because I replayed the week before. Probably started a week and a half before the game Spider-Man 2 came out. I replayed Spider-Man Remastered on PC and then Miles Morales on PC, and so I actually could feel the adjustments they made, leading them ultimately to removing the gadget wheel completely. And initially, I was because I just got done playing it, and I was like Miles Morales, and I'm just like I'm trying to pull up the gadget wheel, and it's like I don't see it popping up, and I'm just like, oh wait, it's just the 4 buttons. And then I started to really think about it. If you go back to the previous games, did you really use all 8 or 9 gadgets that were in that wheel? Not really.
No, what that design incentivized you to do was to pretty much just use the web shooters, like 90% of the time. And then every once in a while, like the do loop slowed down enough that I was like, oh, let me try another gadget.
Right, and so
exactly.
they were kind of worthless.
I was like, oh, I haven't used that in a while.
Yeah, they unless you had a need to use it, like they were like, hey, look, for this particular section, you need to use this, that kind of thing. You didn't really use the other gadgets, so them removing it did not take anything away, as far as I'm concerned. And all it did was just make combat more seamless. Now I'm not, because every time you pull up the gadget wheel, we'll kind of go in slow motion as you're making your decision to change to whatever you want to change to. Instead, combat's never slowing down. And if you actually want to switch out which gadget that you're going to use, for me, I picked my gadgets within the first 3 or 4 hours, and they stayed exactly that. And then every now and then I'll get a new one, and I'll say, "Do I want that? Yeah, I'll keep that," kind of deal. So I felt there was improvement there. About Miles. Miles's combat is great, and no spoilers. It gets better. It evolves as the game goes on. Likewise, I think they, in development, saw that people would be leaning more towards wanting to play with Miles over Peter because Miles has all the various different dynamic powers that Peter does not have. And they address that in the game, which I'm not going to get into. But by the end of it, if you're deciding, I beat the game, I want to go get the platinum, you're not going to be like, I'm going to get the platinum with just Miles. I'm not going to touch Peter anymore. You're going to want to play as Peter too, for different reasons. And I think they rectified that situation in a satisfactory manner as far as I'm concerned. Story-wise, I understand Logic's feeling about flashbacks. Excuse me, I'm still trying to get over a cold. I did think I understand why they put them in there to kind of try to enhance the story. And all of them mostly seem to pertain to either Peter and Harry's relationship, or Peter and May's relationship, as Peter is still basically dealing with the loss of her from the first game. And I thought it enhanced the story. I think story-wise, forget the flashbacks. This is the best story that Insomniac has put together. I'm not even going to just talk about just in a Spider-Man game. I'm talking about period. Like, I've not played any other of their games that has as good a story as this game has. And when I got to a certain point, I said, forget the side missions. I felt like I was engaging in the movie. or it was just like I just kept hitting main mission after main mission after main mission. What time is it? It's 2 a.m. All right, I'm gonna keep going because it was that good and I was that locked in. And so for me, this is definitely a game of the year contender. I think it deserves to be in the game of the year conversation. Will it win? Probably not. And I would say it's not going to win for the various reasons I'm about to talk about. So I understand why the bugs weren't addressed in the reviews, because it seems like these bugs have occurred due to the day one patch, which the reviewers didn't have. And so they barely had any bugs, so they're not going to talk about stuff that they didn't experience. Understandable. That's it. We as a community have been dealing with these bugs, and so forget what the reviewers have to say. The bugs are there, and there's a lot of them. And it's more than what we got from previous Spider-Man games. Are they game-breaking bugs? No, but there's a lot of bugs. There's a lot of little nagging things that happen, and they're not all like, oh, I know if I do this thing, the game's going to crash, so I won't do that. It's not like that. It's just random stuff happening, random visual glitches. And for me, for the majority of my time, so I decided when I played this, I wanted to play it on my OLED. So I moved my PlayStation out of my office to the family room, played it on the OLED. I played it in fidelity mode with 120 hertz enabled and VRR uncapped, I think, or smooth, one of those. But everything was smooth and fine. I only had one time where I had to restart the checkpoint, and there was that slowdown bug where you take out the last person and it does the whole slow motion. The person falls to the ground and it's supposed to be over, but it wasn't because the dude just kept falling for forever. And so I had to restart the checkpoint. All it did was just put me at the cutscene that was supposed to occur next anyway. I said, all right, cool. A couple of other little visual glitches, a couple of points in a flashback where I was supposed to jump to the ceiling and crawl on the ceiling, and the prompts to do that weren't working. Little things like that were nagging issues, but nothing big. And for the most part, that's how my experience was with the game to completion. After completing it, moving my PlayStation back into my office, playing on performance mode, 120 hertz, and everything uncapped. I'm not saying the mode is the problem, but I'm noticing more issues. I've had 2 crashes as I'm trying to get the platinum. I've had an issue where I'm in the middle of I don't want to say the name because that'll be a spoiler, but I'm in the middle of a particular thing you have to do on the map, an objective, and it's time-based, and I did not fail it, but the game still just went black and then had me start over like away from the place, the objective, and I was just like, what the heck happened? Actually, I was streaming that on the DPS channel, and you can see that live there if you don't mind seeing some things that you may not want to see if you haven't beat the game. But those are things that are there, and they are the people complaining about it, legitimately complaining about those things. Their concerns and their feelings and their frustrations are justified. The people who are basically just trying to use this stuff for console warring because they were upset that people pointed out bugs about Starfield, just ignore them. What they're saying ain't really important. My other issue is Mary Jane. So I'm a comic book head. I grew up on comic books. I grew up on Spider-Man. Mary Jane is a superstar supermodel.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
She is not Lois Lane. They have turned this character they have of Mary Jane in Sonic is great. This is my biggest pet peeve, my biggest problem with them in all of these games is that they turned Mary Jane into a completely separate character. And I don't know what was wrong with the actual MJ. Like, what was wrong with her? I mean, I don't know if they kind of felt like it was sexist or something. I really want to know what the actual reason was that they said what's in the comics. Forget all that. She will be Mary Jane in name. Everything else about her is going to be different, except the fact she got red hair. Because that's literally the only things that are still there about the character. She's got red hair, and her name is Mary Jane Watson. Other than that, she's a completely different person. She's a reporter, an investigative reporter who is reckless, who throws herself into situations that she can't get out of, and expects Spider-Man to save her. Who does that sound like? Sound like Lois Lane.
Yeah.
It's Lois Lane. So this is what she did in the first game. Everyone complained about Mary Jane in the first game. Everyone hated her missions. They had two choices here. They could not have her in doing that at all, or they could double down. Guess which one they chose?
We're taking door number 2, Alex.
They took the man. They ran through door number 2. Okay, they broke door number 2 down right off the hinges.
Right.
They doubled down so hard. Now she's not Lois Lane. Now she's Lara Croft. And it's just like, I mean, what are we doing? Now her missions are better, but it's still not that character. And then as you get later in the game, it gets more ridiculous. Like, it's just like, what is happening here? Who is she? Like there's no throwaway and this is not really a spoiler.
Side DLC game. That side DLC coming, man.
I mean, she could have one, but like, this is not really a spoiler. But apparently, in between Miles Morales and Spider-Man 2, apparently she did some training with Silver Sable, who was in the first game. I guess that was that throwaway comment she made in her first solo mission in the game was supposed to justify the badassery of what happens after that. It's just like, nah, fam, this is not it. Like, it doesn't make any sense how she's able to accomplish some of the stuff she's able to accomplish, and how in the method that she's able to do it it's cringe roll eye worthy. And so that's a big problem I have with it overall.
Hey, but Slumbo, can I say though, like, if you notice outside of the comic book medium, they do this with Mary Jane. Like, they kind of take her in different directions as if the comic book version of her isn't good enough. Right. Because if you think about like the Marvel Cinematic Universe version of MJ, it's like, you know, the Zendaya version is like, okay, it is what I get it. And then when you kind of think about Kirsten Dunst, like, I don't have a problem with Kirsten Dunst in particular, but I'm like, I don't look at Kirsten Dunst and go, oh my gosh, she's drop dead gorgeous supermodel. You know what I'm saying? It's sort of like,
right.
Yeah, it's just like this interesting thing that they keep doing, man. Because I think Mary Jane, I think, you know, John Romita Jr., I think J. Scott Campbell, like, their versions of Mary Jane, you know, it was like ridiculous.
Yeah.
You know?
So, like, and Kyle in the chat is like, it's Insomniac's interpretation of her. Things won't be one-to-one to the comics. Kyle, you're exaggerating. You're exaggerating. I don't know why, because I never said I wanted it to be one-to-one in the comics. I wanted her to be the same character. Like, you could have your interpretation of her and she looks slightly different, or, you know, she has some different interests, but still be the same character. This isn't even the same person. She doesn't have the same occupation. She don't have the same interests. She doesn't do anything like the actual character that you're basing her off of. How is it the same person outside of a name?
So basically, she should just been a brand new character.
She's a brand new character.
Yeah, she could be like Amy. She should have been like Amy Beckett. You know, that works for like,
yeah.
You know.
Yeah, if you want to create a new character and then have a Mary Jane that's kind of like in the background, like eventually he might get with Mary Jane, but it's not happening right now. But here is Lena Smith over here, and then you want her to be a fake me out Lois Lane, then cool, it's a different character. But even if you wanted to go a different method, what you went to isn't even original. You just took Lois Lane's archetype and just put it on a different character. Like what? Like what is that? That's not like original. You just basically took a whole different character down to a T and just put it over here. Like that's not original. It's not unique. So that's it. What else I got? The boss fights I thought didn't have, some of them didn't have to have that many phases. I will give this advice to you guys when it comes to combat. I don't know which difficulty you guys are playing on. I played on the hardest spectacular. I got clapped a few times. And I was always wondering when I would die, I was like, yo, I'm waiting for my skills and abilities to come off a cooldown. Why is it taking so long to come off a cooldown? I find out later in the game that one of the skill trees I was ignoring, which is the skill tree for Peter and Miles together, the skills they share together. I think that one is the most important skill tree out of all three of them. They're individual ones.
Yeah, that's the one I've been investing in the most.
You keep doing that because that's the one that gives you, when you use your webs, you get a little bit of healing back. When you do a perfect dodge, you get your focus meter to go up more. When you do a good parry, you get, it actually gives you more. The rest, I invested in the other skill trees thinking those skills would be there, and that's my fault for not reading the descriptions. But definitely go to the shared skill tree and invest in there more than the other ones. Not saying completely ignore the other ones, but if you got an extra point and you can't put it in the share skill tree, go put it in one of the other ones. But it would do you better to do that, because once I started actually invested in that one, then the game became easy like the previous games. So
hey, I'm gonna mention one thing. So Jace718889 in the chat says, Mary Jane hasn't been a supermodel in the comics for years. She has worn the Iron Spider suit, worked with Tony Stark, and was Iron Maiden for a while. Her supermodel been dead for years. Look, I'm just going to tell you guys now. We're up here having a discussion of certain comic book characters. We are obviously observing it from a certain generational perspective. You young dudes in the chat who Flash is Wally West to you, I don't want to hear your opinions on comic books.
Exactly.
I mean, for the simple fact that everything else Insomniac is pulling is from the original source.
From the original, yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's a good point, yeah.
If that's the case, then
we're not sitting here. We're not listening to that. I'm with Logic. No, we're not doing that.
Yeah.
It's like these. If you call Captain Marvel Shazam, I don't want to hear from you. Get out of here. Get out.
The audacity to come at me with a retort about how she is now when we're playing games based off of storylines that were written before you were born. Shut up.
That's what
respectfully.
I mean, we were just talking about Logic, and I were just me and Logic was just talking about Kraven in the 1987 comics that we read with Kraven vs. Spider-Man. It's like a 5-part series. That's. It reminds me of some of these young gamers too.
Tony Stark, Slow-mo, correct me if I'm wrong. Unless Tony Stark's showing up and she's getting all this extra stuff, and I don't really.
Yeah, unless he comes flying out of the sky. Yeah. But Slow-mo, I don't mean to cut you off, man. I do want to get to some other topics. Forte, I do want to get to Forte and get his quick thoughts on Spider-Man as well before we move on to the news items here.
I mean, I haven't gotten that much into it. I predominantly watch my daughter play most of it. I put about 3 hours into it so far. My daughter is about 9 hours in. She's about halfway through the campaign and stuff. And it's like I said, and the thing is, she hasn't seen any bugs yet. I watched her play a lot and no glitching or anything in the game. And I was like, I guess she's one of the lucky people that didn't have any issues or anything. But as of right now, the game is really, really cool. I like the combat. I don't have anything really to compare it to because I never finished the the first two or anything. But I could definitely see the overall polish that they put into the game. It just sucks that we got so many bugs in this game compared to the last one. And I was going to ask Slow-mo about the whole Mary Jane thing because, that was the one thing that he was talking about the most. If they make me play as Mary Jane for an extended period of time, I'm going to freak out. And I don't know if that's the case yet.
but
yeah. We're not gonna talk about that.
Let's not talk about that. Yeah,
I ain't gonna talk about it.
Yeah, we're not gonna talk about that. But I think the game is cool. I do, and I think it was Logic said it. Playing as Miles, it feels like you're not even. It's like you're playing with an antiquated version of Spider-Man when you play as Peter Parker versus Miles Morales. There is a completely different gameplay set when you do that, and it seems like it's so much more exciting when you play as him. Even like just think about what a lot of people look at when it comes to the games. They look at the glitz, the glamour, the overall, all of the different effects that go off, and it just really shines, especially when they do like the animations where it zooms in and you're doing takedowns and finishers and stuff. It's like a completely different looking game where you're playing as one. Now they both look good, but you get a little bit more excitement when you play as Miles.
Hold on, real quick. Yeah, you know what Jay says? So we want 1970 characters in modern day games.
Yes.
No.
Yes.
If you want to be,
we want the ones that actually supposed to be in the game.
Exactly what we want.
Yeah, I want 80s characters in modern day games.
I want my blade to have a silk shirt.
See,
and
Jace,
Jace was born. Shark tooth necklace.
I want my Luke Cage to say "Sweet Christmas" and have a chain as his belt. That's what I want.
Jace was born in the year 2000. He's only 23, so he's new to gaming too. But Go ahead, Forte.
He's
No.
New to intelligent discussion too.
No, come on, Slomo. Come on, man.
Hey, I'm kidding. Am I? I'm kidding.
He said Wesley Snipes made Blade.
Nerds are so sensitive.
Yeah, but go ahead, Slomo. Forte. I'm sorry. Finish it.
No.
Forte.
No. I think it's like I said. I think in general, the game is definitely fun. I'm definitely going to finish it. It's something that I really, really was excited to jump in and play it and stuff. But it just ultimately comes down to it's a lot of stuff going on with the game that a lot of people just don't want to, admit and stuff. But it doesn't mean it's not a great game. The game itself still is fun as heck. It just comes down to we're tired of all of these extra things that are happening in games that shouldn't be happening because it's not like you don't have the time to put them out. And if you feel like you don't have the time, then you need to be a little bit more efficient in the things you do. But the game is good. I like the game the little bit that I played it. And I can't wait. It makes me actually wonder how great Wolverine's going to be because this looks good. I just hope that game goes a whole nother level in everything they want to do with it.
Yeah, Captain Ply, you need to chill out, sir, in the chat. I don't know why you're so angry today.
He's angry.
Yeah, and bros, the suits.
Oh, I love suits. I love the suits. I literally
the suits are nice, bro.
I would literally stop mid game and just start like going through the suits and just changing them.
My daughter literally was flying around the city looking like a Templar with the hood on.
Yeah, with the
I literally change suits like every 10 minutes.
I do too.
Yeah.
Logic. I literally do the same thing.
Yeah.
And this is one of the things Slow-Mo said. He talked about how he's beelining the story.
Yeah.
I mean, this is one of the things that I will say is kind of the design genius of this game, and I know other games do this as well, but I just feel like these games have done it just at a level of excellence that for me has isn't in other games. You can play it that way, like Slow-Mo, and have the same kind of game of the year experience, right? That gives you that feeling. I'm not doing that. I've spent my time in this game so far grinding for suits. I've done campaign missions when I've been forced to, but pretty much I've spent the entire time just stopping crime, doing the side missions, doing the side events, so I can get the points and the stuff for the suits. And I still have the same feeling that this is the best game that I've played this year. This is a game of the year contender. This has a high level of polish. This is excellence in execution and implementation. And it's to me, it's rare. You can say that about games that, hey, this game allows you to, beeline the main campaign. This game allows you to find, a lot of, stuff in the side missions. But typically when I say that, I typically caveat that by saying that those things appeal to certain different types of gamers, right? This going at it either way, I feel like has an incredibly wide appeal that will appeal to lots of different gamers. And it has an attraction to a much wider demographic of an addressable market, right? In terms of the type of gamers that will enjoy going at the game in either one of those modes, that I just find is pretty amazing in comparison to other products on the market.
Yeah. Let me grab this super chat before we move up. Thank you for that, by the way, Logic. In the panel, appreciate everyone's thoughts here on Spider-Man 2.
More actually smoke coming your way, Enrique.
Yeah, I see that. I see what Slow-Mo and Logic have started here.
Well, actually.
Yeah, Jeff B. gave me the $5 super chat, says, pushback. Gwen Stacy not even mentioned, and she's the OG MJ, but y'all want to complain because MJ's in a supermodel.
So what's really weird?
I don't even understand the super chat on that, to be honest with you. But go ahead.
The whole point of the super chat is to defend something Sony related. That's the entire point of the super chat.
Okay.
Well, that's the thing. Like, I don't like. Again, some of you guys are regulars in the chat. I'm not necessarily going to accuse people of being disingenuous, but like, it's just really weird that a lot of the commentary have been, typically, quite frankly, what we accuse a lot of Xbox fans of defending everything to the death that has been any suggestion of any criticism about the game. Like, that makes no sense. We've sat here and said, this is a Game of the Year contender. I've said this is the best game that I've played all year. And you guys are nitpicking at the things that we have caveated as saying.
It doesn't matter, Logic. You got to say it's perfect. It's a 10 out of, it's a 12 out of 10.
It's got to be all or nothing.
Game I ever played. Like all the other PlayStation games are the greatest games I ever played. I love my PlayStation. I sleep with it. Are you guys happy now? Because like I said before, it's two sides of the same coin. They talk about Xbox being this ridiculous, and they do the exact same thing when it comes to their games. You're hypocrites.
Yeah, and the other thing I don't get is
complaining about other people having issues with the game. You don't have. First of all, if it's my opinion, it means
and it'd be a very short show if we just go, yeah, it's great.
But Slow-Mo,
exactly. So no, they're hypocrites, yo.
But Slow-Mo, you're
the same stuff, man.
But Slow-Mo, you're using an historical benchmark based on the comic adaptation of MJ. It's not like you're making this up.
Yeah,
people.
Not good enough. No, I don't like that you have complaints. You just gotta love the game,
yeah.
Man. Or like the guy that said, until I see some videos from you YouTubers, these bugs are fake news.
Yeah,
Dude,
no, those bugs are fake news. That's not fake.
The bugs have bugs. It's all over the place. It's all over the internet. You can't go anywhere without seeing a bug about Spider-Man. At this point, if you ain't seen a bug from Spider-Man 2, you are intentionally choosing not to.
And what does it benefit me? I'm not a YouTuber. What does it benefit me to come on here and say that the couple that I ran into were this, and this? I sat here before I came on the show and said, let me figure out what I could say to add to the bug narrative because, I want to be disingenuous. Let me figure out, the game shut down on me. It shut off. Okay. And I actually reported that to Sony. That's a good one. That should get them incensed. My HUD disappeared for a bit. None of it stopped me from playing the game and enjoying it, but the reality is it's there.
And that's the thing that you don't...
Guess what? It crashed. I started the game up again. I kept it moving.
Yeah.
And Jeff, we hear you. You do this every once in a while. You go off the deep end. You guys are nitpicking. So first of all, at least for mine, I said these are small discrepancies that I have with the game, right? But I am pointing them out for the purpose of the discussion. I'm not going to sit up here and say the game's perfect. It absolutely has zero discrepancies and zero deficiencies with it. Everybody should go buy it. Go buy the $80 version so you get the extra suits. You should never mention anything. Like, that's... Man.
You know what? I want to know what their issues are with the game. I want the people in the chat that are calling us disingenuous and you're nitpicking.
They probably haven't played the game.
Is it a perfect game? I want to know from you, what are your issues with the game? Can you tell me one? Can you admit there's one?
I just this idea that
I see from some of you is just defending PlayStation tooth and nail.
Yeah, this idea that you have to defend a brand, a console, is so weird. It's so trivial. Like, you can like something at the same time be critical of the thing you like. And we talk about this a million times on the show. And this all or nothing mentality is just sad. I mean, but
these are the same dudes that will go nitpick Starfield, but I have not even touched it.
Exactly. And I've played Starfield. I played Spider-Man 2. I'm playing Spider-Man 2 now. Exactly. It's a great point, E. I do want to move on, gentlemen.
No, but Ricky, that's a tweet I put out earlier. I said when you deal with fan dudes, it's the same thing. Like they don't see the issues with their first party games, but they can pull out a magnifying glass and pick apart and give you a list of the issues with the competitor game.
Exactly. Yeah.
That's something that's always kind of driven me crazy about the timeline. It's like, so y'all can't see anything wrong with the games from your first party, but you can laundry list the others for everything else.
Yeah.
And that's disingenuous, and that's what you guys are you're being disingenuous, if anything else. Us sitting here talking about it, but saying, like Logic said, the game's dope. Having criticisms and critique is keeping it a buck. Acting like you don't see anything is some disingenuous shit.
Yeah,
very disingenuous.
Thank you. Absolutely, thank you.
The last thing I'll say is
I want to move on real quick. Yeah.
Will Back is saying in the chat, the game is good, but it's not a game of the year contender. Again, having self-awareness and understanding your place in the world, and when your nose is bent 180 degrees out of shape from the way everyone else thinks.
What is this game of the year, Logic?
The statement we think it's a game of the year contender, first of all, is a statement not about necessarily, we're not voting in game of the year. We're talking about the panel of media journalists who are going to vote in game of the year. We're talking about the industry representatives who will vote a game of the year at DICE and at other various shows. If you don't acknowledge that the sentiment and the uptake of this game around the industry and around the media is that it is a great game and it is going to be in the conversation and it is going to be a contender for game of the year, then same thing, you're sticking your head in the sand, you're not being aware of the world around you, and you can choose to go through life like that if you want to, but that's just not the conversation we're having, and that is something else you need to recognize.
Well, thank you, Logic.
And recognize at the end of the day, this is where you guys lose the narrative. Whatever your game of the year is your game of the year. But you'll be that same person that loses your mind on the Keeleys if they vote for something else and something else makes it. You'll be thinking that it's like, you'll be like Trump. It's a lie. We won. You know, it'd be that BS. You guys take this stuff way too serious and way too far.
And it's comical that a person who's typing.
And the worst thing about all of it is the well actually people.
Yeah.
And
it's comical that I would move on here. Go ahead, Logic. But I would do. It's
comical that a guy who's typing in all caps in the chat is telling me not to be so damn sensitive.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. All right, let's move on here. I got the super chat from Lord Metroid, $2 super chat. Thank you, Lord Metroid. Mario Wonder is phenomenal. I said is a phenomenal. Mario Wonder is phenomenal. Go play it. Great show. Thank you.
That game's dope.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, I need to pick that up too. So, all right, man. You want to move to some news items here? It's reported that a top Sony SIE Entertainment SVP and head of internal production, Connie Booth, has left the company after working there since 1989. Geez, 34 years. Booth held various senior leadership positions within Sony's gaming division and served as SIE SVP and head of internal production since 2020. Now, recently, David Jaffe went on YouTube and actually teased this story before the media picked it up, that he had heard from a source within Sony that a key executive, somebody that he had worked with, sounded like he had a good working relationship with this individual, admired the work that Connie Booth had done at Sony. Was that someone fall out of a chair?
Sound like somebody sneezed.
Oh,
whoever that was, bless you.
Oh yeah, bless you.
Yeah, that was I was trying to reach for the mute button and it came out before I got there.
I was like, I thought someone fell in the chair. I was like, what?
I ain't make it fast enough.
Forte cut the red wire by accident.
Yeah, I was like, whoo, at least it didn't come out the other. At least it didn't come out the other ear.
Oh boy.
Okay.
All right. Okay. Yeah. So Jaffe saying that Connie Booth was not. She did not retire. She was actually fired. He also revealed that the majority of the people who worked under Connie are gone, and it seems that they left at the same time that she did. So, so that's kind of what Jaffe had mentioned. Jaffe also mentioned Herman Haas was a big favor of cutting all the Japanese studios. And Jaffe's contact's not a big fan of Herman. I don't know, man. I don't read too much into the stuff that Jaffe's reporting here. But, you know, I just brought this up because it was a news item this week. Any thoughts? I mean, I didn't really personally just put too much into this particular story.
It's
Is she
a wrap
definitely
for
gone?
Sony, dog.
Because I guess that would be the first thing I would want to know is she absolutely gone? Is she not there anymore?
As far as that, what's been reported, that she is no longer there.
Okay.
But I haven't seen any reports that she's been fired. But I did see, like, Games Radar, Gamer actually ran an article saying that she they said the circumstances of her departure are unclear. Insider accounts suggest that she was fired. I think that's a nod to what Jaffe had mentioned, because they're actually citing Jaffe here too. So, but she's actually with Guerrilla Games. She was actually with Guerrilla Games for about 20 years prior. So,
oh really?
She's been in the company for about 34 years or something like that. Overall,
yeah. So she's
been there for a long time.
Yeah, Jaffe also said that I think it's hold on a sec here. I think he mentioned someone else. I don't catch a name here. I'm only seeing a last name. Angie Smets, I think, has replaced her. From what he's saying, I could be wrong there, but I think that's who the potential replacement is. But let's see here. Booth was replaced by PlayStation Studios VP and head of a development strategy, Angie Smets. So I'm sorry, Angie Smets has been in her current role since April when she left Guerrilla Games following a 20-year stint at the studio.
So she's been gone then. So is what Jaffe is saying since April.
So Angie's now in this role, but she was previously at Guerrilla Games. So,
well, I didn't know anything about her prior to any of this. Like, my first time ever even hearing about her was Jaffe bringing her up. I agree with you. It does seem like he's got like a good relationship with her, and maybe he is. How like it doesn't look good for you to fight your own like not necessarily fight your own battles, but for you to talk yourself up, but it looks better on you when other people are talking you up. So I don't know if he's doing this for her specifically to kind of maybe get her out there, or to, get her a new role or something similar to what she had before, or to just, if he's got a bone to pick with PlayStation. But I don't know. Like, I don't really have any.
I don't. I mean, like,
thoughts on it.
It doesn't move the needle for me either direction. It just is what it is. That's how I kind of look at it. Somebody in live chat said David Jaffe said the entire team was fired with her. So I mean, obviously there's changes. We could probably speculate there's changes happening internally at PlayStation given Jim Ryan's announcement. There could be restructuring.
Can we discuss real quick what was her role exactly? Like, what did she do?
Jaffe had explained it. I didn't write it down, but I think she with his early experience with her is that she had worked on a couple high profile games
as a producer.
I'm not exactly sure. Let's see here. See if I can see this again. Yeah, I don't know. It doesn't say it here.
Yeah, because ever since this came out, I've been kind of foggy on it. I said something like director of production, I think was her title, and I was just like, okay. So like, I mean, and then like I seen a list of like almost like every PlayStation first party game that you could think of is she's credited on. So I'm just like, all right, so she ain't work at every single studio. Like, what exactly was she doing? Was she just producing? Is she good at management? Is she good at like getting people to meet their deadlines? What exactly did she do? And Jaffe's like, this is really going to affect PlayStation going forward. Well, quantify to me how that happened. Like, what exactly?
Yeah. That's what got me. That's what got me slumming. Like the way he sold it the night prior, like before he put it behind the paywall stuff.
Yeah,
he
which
sold it as
is
if
clearly to get more membership, right?
Yeah, he sold it as if like some major like we were about. like short of hearing something like I think I joked with you guys in the DM. It sounded like damn, he about to announce Bobby Kotick going to PlayStation. Like the way he made it sound. It sounded crazy, right? It sounded like really crazy. Right. And then when it kind of hit, you were like you said, it's like who is this? Like what's going on? So I kind of took it as in some ways, like you say, like that some of his personal relationship with this person is carrying over whatever the agenda may be, like to defend her or to, like you said, carry some water for her, whatever it may be. I don't know what I'm having a hard time understanding what the overall weight of the whole thing means, and like you said, and what she did and all that stuff.
Yeah. So reading the description of her position, the way I interpret it, right, and it's just my interpretation. So, is that as head of internal production and coming up through the ranks on the director and production side, and I've mentioned this in the chat, she was responsible for for a lot of the project management, right, elements of game production. So schedule, resources, moving things around, obtaining things that the team needed as far as tools, utilities. If there was any, the IT stuff, getting that support and arranging that. Ekim mentioned, in the chat, and I'm not saying this to give her weight or importance. I think the lean seems like that is giving a lot of weight to the creative side, and you definitely need that. But what I've always said also is however, you can't give a team unlimited resources and unlimited schedule to produce a game, right? At some point they have to be reined in. At some point they have to make choices. At some point they have to cut scope, right, in order to make schedule. And that's often the role of the producer. It's often a healthy tension between the producer and the creative director, right, to come down on a spot of compromise where the game gets out on schedule based on the needs of the business, but the creative side also gets the time that they need, and that's typically how those two. That's one common model in game development of how those two roles break up roles and responsibilities.
Yeah, I see people in the live chat saying like she's really important. Like Katie the Goat says, man, she's really important, man. You're all really sleeping on how important she is. That's why she had a whole team around. They also got rid of them.
There's a lot of people that have a whole team of their own. Katie, did you know of her before this past week?
I guess.
I'm not saying that makes it less important, but it's just like saying we sleeping on it because we're saying we don't really know anything about this.
we also don't know. Clearly she's been replaced, right? I mean, she's been replaced by somebody who's also been at PlayStation for a long time. So to Katie's point, like I don't know how you can say we can't sleep on something that we don't know what the impact of that to the business is. Like I don't know how.
Yeah, we're trying to understand.
Yeah, I don't know if there's gonna be
all the stuff being thrown out there. I don't think if sleeping on it would be like, yeah, she sounded like a bum to me. That's sleeping on somebody's right. That's not at all what we're saying.
Wait.
And her for a reason.
Yeah, and we didn't say she's. And he's saying y'all saying because y'all. Oh God, this English is killing me. Y'all say because she's not famous. Like no one said she's not famous. We just said we had never heard of her. Oh my God. That has nothing to do. Like we never heard of her. Man. I mean, I don't understand. Like we just. Doesn't mean
and I'm still waiting. KT the Ghost has not given us anything to go off of except for conjecture and saying like you guys are sleeping on what you haven't said. I can sit here and be like,
I have heard of her and I have read of her in certain news articles and like I said the way and we don't have complete information, so I'm just interpreting the small bits of the way I interpret it is that I would think of her as essentially kind of a counterpart to Herman. Right. If Herman is responsible for kind of the creative side of the entire studios in the portfolio, then it seems like Connie would have been the person. If there's a producer or director on a game within a studio, then they're doing the back and forth about schedule and creative. Right. And then up at the corporate level, at the C-suite level, that's Herman and Connie having that back and forth, right? Herman saying this studio needs more time to do whatever. This studio needs these resources. Connie saying, okay, but in order to make revenue, right, and the things that we need to do, these games need to come out in this sequence at this time, right? And they're working together to go back and forth and remove each other's impediments. Her leaving the business, I don't know, like Slow-Mo said, so she had a role. I think the role was important. I think the role right, was somebody that, Jim Ryan would absolutely, needed to pay attention to. I think that person working with Herman Hulst would have definitely had impact. But I'm the same way. I don't know that she's necessarily irreplaceable. Typically, the way these things go, and I talked about this a little bit on Twitter, typically the way these things go, first of all, whether she was fired or whether she retired, whatever, at the C level, there's succession planning, right? There's typically, several roles deep. People in the lower managerial ranks and executive ranks are identified. They go to training, they get groomed, whatever, to go into those positions. These people leaving is typically not an unplanned event, right? Unless somebody gets caught, right, with an intern on their desk, right, doing things that they're not supposed to be doing. But typically, you have these things lined up. So, the person, I can't remember the name, but the person who went into the role after her, that was not something that just got decided overnight, right? That would have been a pre-planned discussion of, okay, if this person leaves, who goes into that role? And
real quick, Logic, that person was the PlayStation Studios VP and head of development strategy, Angie Smets, who has been in her current role since April of this year when she left Guerrilla Games. Now, what's your point, Logic? There's something that Guerrilla Games popped out to me. We knew Herman Hulst was there, and I have a little bit of I don't want to say conspiracy theory, but a thought about this. Go ahead, man.
Yeah, but the other thing I say, the exact same thing is in place over at Microsoft, right? None of those people in those executive positions don't have some succession plan, right, lined up behind them. It's not like there's never been a discussion of who's going to replace Phil, right, when he either retires or has to go away. The other thing that I'll mention is we constantly have this mentality of people who are in those positions of, I always refer to it, people get tired of me saying, I always refer to it as falling off the face of the earth, right? You have people in positions and you always have to be, at their age particularly, you always have to be concerned if something's going to go south with them, right? Steve Jobs, very unfortunate, tragic thing. Steve Jobs passing away, it's not like there had never been a discussion of what the shuffling of the deck was going to look like when that happened. Right. So Xbox has the same thing in place. When those people start moving and shifting around, that plan will go into action. There will also be political kerfuffles in that, right? Of people getting their feelings hurt because they're not the heir apparent and they're not the anointed one. You will have things like I talked about one of the things that may have, framed how this went out is with the CEO scuffle going on with Jim Ryan leaving. If Connie Booth wasn't named to that position, she could have decided, well, why would I stay around here, right, if I'm not the heir apparent? By the same token, if somebody was going to be put in place and that didn't sit well with Connie and there was friction between them, she could have been asked to leave, right? So it could have gone, multiple different ways, but from my opinion, this is not unusual, right, for this type of thing to happen.
Right. Yeah, I don't think it's unusual either. Like, Katie's saying, well, she's important because she's the quality manager. I understand the importance of her role.
And they have a new one now.
And she left in abrupt fashion, but they have someone new who's been with the organization 20 years. And to Logic's point, because I see this at work every day, and I'm in those conversations where managers are talking about succession plans. We need to figure out who we're going to onboard, who we're going to train to be future leaders in our organization, because we know that leadership, they come and go. Sometimes they don't get a promotion they want, or there's leadership change and they're not picked. They're like, yo, I'm out of here. I've been here 20 years. This is ridiculous. And they leave. So it's not unusual, but I'm this is just me speculating here, seeing that her replacement, Angie Smets, was previously at Gorilla and Herman Hulst was at Gorilla. And I'm wondering if Herman is going to take the Jim Ryan's role, and he's, and it's not uncommon for people to pick people that they have had close working relationships with. Got to imagine Herman Hulst had a close working relationship with now I forget her name, with Angie Smets, and so he's lining up his people to kind of make up his cabinet, if you will, of people that he's going to work with, assuming he takes over Jim Ryan's role as CEO of SIE. So that's just my 2 cents, my speculation on the matter. All right. I'm sorry, Slim. I think you were saying. Go ahead, man.
No. I mean, I was just agreeing with you that it's the thing is that, like, She's been out of that role since April, apparently, and it's a problem. I'm not saying it's not a potential problem. It's a potential problem if her replacement isn't up to the job. Like if her replacement comes in and her replacement is doing worse than her, performing worse than her, and that has severely impacted the pipeline and deadlines and just how people are going about getting their job done and the overall efficiency that things were going before Angie came into place. Yeah, okay, that's an issue. And that's something that needs to be addressed. But the thing is that we're all speculating here and we don't know any of that. So I'm not going to say it's a problem, something's a problem, when I don't know that it's a problem. What if Angie's doing it better than she did? I mean, we don't know if that's that's it or not. And I don't think David Jaffe's going to be the person to be telling us, hey, look, my friend got fired, but her replacement is killing it. So this is all speculation. This is not that big a deal to me. It's until we know more, and once we know more, then we can look at it from that standpoint.
Yeah, Ryan.
I'm gonna keep speculating, Slow-Mo. Another thing that way this thing may have unfolded is depending on who's going into the slot. I don't necessarily know that I agree with BRAP. Just if Herman were to go into that slot, that would be the first time that a creative was in that position since Kaz.
Yeah,
I want to say. So, I mean. But whoever's going in that, what could very well have happened is Connie could have easily been one of Jim Ryan's people, and with Jim Ryan leaving, that top cover is no longer there, and she may have not necessarily been in as much favor around the company or with the new regime that's coming into place. So,
yeah, that's possible.
Yeah, I think I see what Katie's trying to do here, though. He's talking about studios shutting down this year, games cancels first and third. It's not just Connie. Like I said, 60 Naughty Dog, 60 Sony Santa Monica devs left Sony last year in May. That's no moon. I
mean, look, all those are issues. That doesn't mean that they're all related to this issue.
Yeah, and Katie, understand that annually you always have 3% turnover. Annually within organizations on average. Anything above that is like abnormal, what just happened in the tech sector, the big five this past year with the thousands of layoffs that happened at Amazon, Microsoft, Google. But I'm sorry, go ahead, Slow-Mo.
No, it's things aren't like, I don't like that I keep hearing that they keep laying off people at their studios, and it seems pretty frequent. And I don't know what they working on. I talked about it on my live stream. These kind of things can tend to be just get brushed off when you have an actual roadmap of what's coming out, in the future. But from what I've seen. And of course, they're working on stuff they haven't shown us yet. I mean, that's common sense. But I can only address what I've seen. I ain't seen much to get me excited past Spider-Man, which I'm about to platinum. So can we, when you hear about this kind of stuff, it is definitely worrisome. But at the same time, I'm not everything is related to, all one thing. What happened to Connie could be completely separate than what's happening at studios with layoffs and everything. I think we sometimes get very reductive in what's happening and think it's all related to the things that we wanted to be related to, and oftentimes it's just not the case. So
yeah,
we just don't know.
What's kind of frustrating when we have these conversations, like players like, yeah, but we were complaining about Microsoft Studios letting people forward. I mean, slightly different situations with Microsoft Studios, with people leaving because of management issues, performance issues, development issues. I mean, those things are documented. I mean, and not just like one-off issues, but consistent issues. And there's a difference there. you just can't. Anyhow, I do want to move on though to another story. I didn't think we'd talk this long about this particular story. I'm sorry, I lost my train of thought here.
Well, just to add to that, I mean, I would say, when we mention things like that for Xbox, it's not just because of those things. It's that coupled with poor financial performance, poor hardware sales, right? Not a lot of software things charting in NPD, right, for the last 5 years, yada, yada, yada.
Exactly, yeah. Yeah, it's a little bit different. All right, so speaking of Microsoft, we have some Xbox-related news. We did get Microsoft actually just posted their Q1 financials for Xbox. Let me pull up the notes here for that. All right. Actually, before we get to that, this was an article. This was a report that came out more recently regarding Microsoft CEO Satya Nadella's pay targets, his bonus, and actually, this I think this is probably, correct me if I'm wrong, the first time in quite some time that we've gotten a little more insight into their revenue targets and their actually, or the revenue growth targets and what they actually have hit, and so. A Microsoft SEC filing, this was reported by Axios, showed that Satya Nadella's only game-related performance base incentive for the fiscal year ended June 30th, 2023 was to grow Xbox content and service use revenues by 4.4%. Over 90%, 95% of Nadella's annual target compensation opportunity is performance-based. The Xbox target only accounts for 10% of its performance-based pay targets, with the largest category being to grow Microsoft Cloud revenue, which was weighted at 30%. Xbox revenues did not meet the 4.4% growth target, instead only grew by 0.7%. The Axios article cites that their own analysis shows that Nadella previously had targets based on the subscriber growth of Xbox Game Pass. So it doesn't appear that Xbox Game Pass is going to be a driver for his bonus structure moving forward, compensation moving forward. So before we move on to the other Xbox related news, just want to throw this out to the panel. Thoughts on this insight? I thought this was kind of fascinating, insightful that we got the growth targets and what they actually hit. Anyone?
It's the beginning of the end.
Well, I don't think it's the beginning of the end, but
hey, Logic, you know the ways about it. Like when two fighters are like just swinging wild at each other and they both connect at the same time. That's gonna be Sony and Microsoft. They're just gonna both be gone. And Nintendo stands on their bloody bodies.
Nintendo's gonna be like, aha,
I played the long game.
Yeah, exactly.
No, I mean, I think Nintendo and Sony will still be standing around in the console market. I mean, Sony's taking and going after the high end demographic customer. Nintendo is going to keep to the low end, and like I've said the last couple of weeks, right? The console war is over. Xbox lost, and they're gonna, and they're doing what they've been winding up for quite some time, is they're focusing on software.
Yeah, no, I don't disagree, and a couple other tidbits.
I do disagree.
Yeah, go ahead.
I do. They're just winding up. They're just going to do software. Then when that leak, we wouldn't know about their potentially looking at ARM as a method for the next Xbox, which they slate will probably come out like 2027, 2028. I don't think they'll ever stop making an Xbox, because they although things are changing for them, and now that they have ABK, they also have another market in mobile now that they can actually generate a lot of revenue from, in addition to what Call of Duty is going to do and Blizzard and whatnot. But they're still generating revenue from this avenue, and I don't think that they anticipate that's going to change significantly. I don't see them stop making any Xboxes anytime soon.
But I mean, that ARM processor, the reason they're going after x64, I mean, nobody's making high-end AAA ray tracing gaming experiences backed by an x64 processor, backed by an ARM processor, sorry. That ARM processor is so that those Xboxes can go into racks in the data center and be the backbone for Xbox cloud gaming, where a lot of the Series X's are going now, which is part of the reason why the Series S's are selling so well, and it's such a the bulk of their sales. They spent $70 billion acquiring a publisher. They didn't spend $70 billion making an investment in AMD or in TSMC or in doing something that further bolsters their hardware play. So I just think that the direction they're heading, and there's all the commentary about, we can't put out an 11 to 10 game and out console Sony and Nintendo. Satya talking about, we're going to continue doubling down and making investments on building out gaming platforms, but that emphasis on gaming platforms continues to be not pointed at the console, but pointed out further dispersal of their software. Satya's famous statement when he came on board as CEO, and he continues to say time after time after time, is Microsoft is a software company and he wants their software to be where the users are. And the users aren't on Xbox right now. Xbox at 25 million, absolutely no more than 50 million, but probably somewhere closer to that 25 million mark, represents somewhere between 9 to 16% of the console market, and probably closer to the 9%. So his hardware is not where the users are.
So if they subtract the 25 million, or say 25 to 50 million that they're getting each console generation on Xbox, where are they adding those players? That subtraction, you have to counterbalance that with an addition of even more players somewhere else that would, so much so that you don't need the 25 to 50 million you're getting on Xbox consoles, right?
Yeah, agreed. And what Spencer has said is that their growth is going to be via the customers off of console.
But where are they going to get those customers that so much so that they don't need an Xbox no more?
Yeah, they're going to have to get them from PC, mobile, and other devices.
Look at them on PC right now. Is that a reality?
What do you mean? I mean, they've said that the bulk of their Game Pass customers are on PC more so than console.
But to get enough that they can just say we don't need an Xbox no more on PC right now. I know they have plans to use what Blizzard has done with Battle.net to improve the Xbox app, but the Xbox app still stinks. They still don't have anywhere near the same kind of like level of market share on PC that, like, say, Steam has. Like if they had the same number of players on PC that they have on Xbox, they would be like literally definitely the second biggest like launcher or platform within PC, but they don't. Not yet. I'm not saying they won't, but it's like I don't see them being so successful on PC and mobile that they can just go, that Xbox thing, we don't need that no more.
Well, so first of all, I'm not saying that the Xbox is going away right now. I said in BRAP channel chat, they're going to do one more generation, right? So we're talking, 11, 12 years out, right?
Oh, God. Okay. Oh, so yeah. Okay. Yeah. Look, I agree with you on that because okay. I think in their mind, perfect scenario, like the internet and cloud gaming and everything is gotten so much better that cloud is almost latency wise, almost seamless with a hardware in front of your face experience. And they somehow have got around the issue with ISPs and the government where there aren't data caps like that in the United States to the degree that they are now. And people aren't getting completely shafted on their upload speed the way they all these ISPs, hey, we're going to give you a gig download, but you got 5 upload. What is that? That's nothing, right? So if all that stuff gets gets rectified, in like 11, 12 years, they could look at say, hey, look, we could just give somebody a dongle, right? We don't even need call it the X dongle. Who gives a shit, right?
That doesn't even sound right, man.
It's just a dongle, huh?
That doesn't even sound right. Like like the X
the
dongle.
X dong,
the X dong,
the X dong, the X dong is. Okay, I'm sorry. I'm being silly, but just like give someone something small that looks like very nice on their entertainment center. It looks like a tiny vase, but it's actually like just a device they use to connect that person to their account in the cloud, and here you go. Like I'm 1000% certain they want that to be the experience like a dozen years from now. I'm just also not certain that is a reality too. Just that the way our government works here, at least in this country, which is their biggest player base. This country when it comes to the internet is freaking abysmal. So. Yeah, I don't know. I'm skeptical that they'll ever have to be in a situation where they could actually just separate from it.
Yeah. Let me share some other numbers here. I agree with both you.
I gotta drop, guys.
Oh, all right, E. No doubt, man. Thank you, man, for coming through, bro. Appreciate it, man.
Yep, no doubt. Thanks for having me.
Right.
Appreciate it.
Later, bro.
All right, E. Yep. See you, man. Guys. Take care.
Later.
All right. Yeah, no, I agree with both you and some of you and Logic. I don't think in the near term they're going to abandon hardware, but I think it's just a matter of time before they pivot away from that. But let me just I want to go over a couple numbers here from their first quarter financials for this year. Revenue $56 billion. It's up 13% year on year. Operating income $26.9 billion, that's up 25%. Net income $22.3 billion, up 27%. More personal computing, including Xbox revenue $13.7 billion, up 3%. Xbox content and services revenue up 13%. Gaming revenue up 8%. Xbox hardware down. Xbox hardware revenue down 7%. Now, look, if you look at the last, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4 quarters. If you look at Q1 fiscal year 2024, which was this yesterday's report, down 7%. You look at Q4 fiscal year 2023, they were down 13%. You look at Q3 fiscal 2023, they were down 30%. And quarter 2 fiscal year 2023, they were down 13%. They have the demand for hardware has been consistently just down, like it's negative. And fiscal year Q1 included Starfield. And I got to imagine at some point they may be asking the question, is the juice worth the squeeze? Like I would have imagined that Starfield, and again, it's going to be interesting to see what Q2 is with Forza and, if there's any knock-on effect with Call of Duty. But I mean, like, you remember what B said a couple weeks ago about the Xbox hardware? And you think about the growth targets at 4.4%, it was actually 0.7%. There was another number in that article about Satya's compensation that discussed they wanted to grow Game Pass subscriptions by 74%. It was only 28%. CFO Amy Hood actually said that Starfield's launch day set a new record for the most new Xbox Game Pass subscriptions in a single day. I think that's great. However, we don't know what that is. I mean, that could be. Huh?
I said it's awesome on PC.
Yeah,
where the bulk, it seems, of that Starfield activity came from.
Yeah, but we don't know. I mean, like, is that record like 30 people, 100 people, 5,000 people? We don't know. So it's interesting to me that, and the way they talk about hardware, what Phil said, we can't out console Sony and Nintendo. We can't do that. We got to make games, design games that, and I'm paraphrasing here, kind of meet our strategy, you know, and I think about their strategy and how they've talked about putting games everywhere. And when Phil Spencer, I think what was telling for me ultimately about their attitudes towards the Xbox platform is what Phil Spencer said, you know, we're not going to use Call of Duty to get people to buy an Xbox console. You know, and then when they acquired, when the ABK deal went through, Phil was like, "Hey, you know, we're not going to use parity, or we're going to have parity. We're not going to have like, you know, like what do you say, skins, you know, on one platform and not on the other. There's going to be parity. I mean, like, he's like, we want people on the PlayStation console, Nintendo to feel included, be part of this community." A lot of that to me screams third party. It doesn't scream. It doesn't scream as, you know, what I would say what maybe Nintendo or Sony might do if they own Call of Duty, which I think those two companies would probably make it exclusive, or probably leverage, you know, like map packs and stuff like that as exclusive to their platform. But it feels like saying, like, hey, even map packs and skins, that's not necessarily going to be exclusive either. It's going to be parity across the board for Call of Duty, which I think is fascinating considering the amount of money that they spent on acquiring ABK.
But wasn't that brought up in the court case too? About what the PlayStation saying they're gonna make all this stuff like exclusive to Game Pass and stuff like that, and they had to say, okay, we promise we won't do that kind of stuff. But I don't know if there was a time period on that or not, but yeah, I mean, I thought that was already something that everyone was aware of because of the court case.
Real quick, Darcy, this isn't fear mongering. We're just discussing the financials and more specifically discussing hardware performance. The rest of the business seems to be doing fine.
Whoa.
Yeah.
Let's talk about software, because software is up 13%, right?
Yes.
But software services is up 13% year over year. So now we're talking about Q1 FY23, right? Last calendar year, and there was nothing on the slate out of Xbox. So being up 13% is really not saying much of anything. The only thing that they put out on the console that was first party was DLC for Fallout 76 and Forza Horizon 5 Hot Wheels, right? And we've talked about metrics this week that we're seeing that shows that people are not playing DLC for first party games that are in Game Pass on day and date. And why? Because that DLC, when it lands, is competing against everything else that's in Game Pass that's new. And so people aren't getting down out of their seat to go off and play DLC when they have new games that are also available in the same service that they're paying for on a monthly basis.
Yeah, that's a great point about the last year's performance. But the other thing too, to what Dark says, this is their best Q1 since 2017 for Xbox. I disagree that we're fearmonger. I think we're just talking about the data points here, and more specifically, what I was talking about was the I'm sorry, I don't mean to laugh. I'm sorry. Just some of the comments in the chat, but no, my point was just the performance of the Xbox hardware. You know, that even with the launch of Starfield, that it's down, it's negative 7% year over year. Like that's not typical performance of what we see of a console 3 years into a new generation. You start seeing that towards the tail end, but not at this point in the console generation, which leads me back to my initial point and what we were kind of discussing, where I do think at some point Microsoft, and because of the way they've talked about platforms and software, that they may pivot out of making Xbox consoles in the future.
Well, in that comment, what was the comment that this has been their best Q1 since when? 2018, 2017?
No, he said this has been their best. It's been their best. It's been their best Q1 since 2017. But Darkseid says, but still, this was the best Q1 of Xbox history. Why the fear mongering? And then I'll have to read.
Based on what? What was the revenue earned by Xbox this quarter that just got reported? We know growth numbers, but as far as I know, we don't have the actual raw number.
Yeah. And then I was laughing at KT to Goat says, yeah, this fear mongering like a MF. That's funny. They literally delivered 7 games this year. Why play DLCs?
Hey, it's like I've been telling you all week, BRAP. If those are the points that you guys believe and you believe it's fear mongering, then be satisfied with playing on your platform. As I've said, we have numbers that show that at best, the dispersion of that platform, the market penetration of that console platform is no greater than 16% of the console gaming market. So thumbs up. Greatest quarter, whatever you guys believe, you're 16% of the market. So it is what it is.
Yeah,
I mean,
I just think it's interesting that people want to argue numbers that anyhow. By the way, the what I mentioned about Game Pass growth, it was actually Microsoft aimed for 73% growth in Game Pass subscribers, but the actual result, this was last year, 2022, the actual result was 28%. We know that majority of that growth on Game Pass was on PC. All right, and then also any thoughts on, by the way, before I move on from their financials?
I would say that the growth of Game Pass on PC will continue. That's going. I think that's pretty obvious if you look at the way the PC market is set up. Steam is a monster, a behemoth, and Steam isn't changing anything they're doing as a means of countering anything someone else does, and we saw that with the way when Epic Game Store came into play, and they decided to start snatching up timed exclusives off games, and we saw the reaction of the PC community was to basically get angry at Epic Game Store, ostracize them, ignore the store and all the free games they provide, and even though it benefits you, the gamer, and say F them for Steam, as if Steam was a person or something that did anything for them. And when you have a market that's that kind of, I don't know how you want to describe that, but there's a lot of opportunity for growth when you have something that's a good deal like Game Pass. Like Game Pass is a good deal, and if you subscribe, and the fact that they don't increase the price on PC is very telling. They will increase the price on consoles, and on PC, you guys are good. We ain't gonna touch it because you don't want to upset anything with a community of gamers that will very easily just ignore anything that you do going forward for any particular reason, for any particular move that you choose to make. So it's I think that growth is going to continue. You're not going to see the price go up on PC. They're going to continue to keep pushing there because they see where the easier method of growing their revenue is going to be. It's not going to be taking on Nintendo and Sony. It's going to be taking on the PC market. Yeah,
and I just want to say something with I forget his name now. Your buddy Slimo, the GOAT. He says y'all acting like that's not going to change with time. Y'all acting like the console sales being down mean they're going to give up. No,
it could go up. It could absolutely go up.
No, they're going to give up.
I just said they could definitely go up. Like, just because this is what the metric is today for that quarter doesn't mean it's going to always be consistent with that.
But they're actually trending worse than the Xbox One right now. They're falling behind Xbox One sales. And so what I've been saying is that based on that and how they're talking about Xbox, and we know based on what Phil Spencer has said about, hey, we can't out console Sony and Nintendo. We can make it 11 out of 10 game. It's not going to really move the needle for us. The way they're kind of spreading all their software, their games around, which is, we kind of knew this was something they were going to do, that the console's not the priority anymore. That at some point they may, and I think that's going to happen after next generation. And we know about the internal documents that were leaked about them making their hardware. What was it, Logic? Was it their hardware team that suggested that they make I guess new hardware next generation that's more in line with the Series S? Is that? I think I'm sure if I remember that exact leak correctly, but it was something along those lines. But my point to Goat is that I think at some point, given before, unless things drastically turn around, but being 3 years into the generation and seeing these console growth numbers, based on those numbers being negative, that just says to me that there's just not there's not a lot of demand for the Xbox Series consoles right now. That's just based on the numbers. When you contrast with what, Switch numbers are seeing declines now, but they're also 5 years into the generation. And PlayStation 5 is seeing increases of 100% in some markets. So, it's just, that's my only point. That I think that if this trend continues and based on what they've talked about in terms of, putting their games on mobile, cloud, and other devices, that the hardware, the Xbox console per se, may not be something that they make in the future. Could be wrong, but that's just what I'm thinking based on the numbers and what Microsoft has said.
If their content map comes out the way they intended to, and they get their target for first party games a year, and they keep that cadence consistently for the next 2 or 3 years, and they still can't outdo the Xbox One. Let's just be realistic with that. If they can't sell Xboxes, even when they're dropping more content than anyone else is in the market, and we don't know the level of quality of those games. We know the pedigree of some of the studios, right? So we anticipate that they're going to be good. Let's say they are excellent games, and they still can't sell Xboxes. Put yourself in their position, right? If you're running Microsoft Gaming and you are, and I'm not saying this is going to happen, because it seems that people have a listening problem or under comprehension issue. I'm saying this is a hypothetical. Let's say that you drop some bangers, you get some Game of the Years as well. Okay, you're consistently nominated in the Game of the Year category. Your games are great, but people are enjoying your games everywhere but an Xbox. It would make sense to me that your next Xbox is something that's pretty light. You're not going to go hard on let's make sure that we're the most powerful console out here, and you're not, or you potentially might decide, all right, well, maybe we won't do that this time around, since people aren't enjoying our games here. They're enjoying our games everywhere else. So I can understand in that scenario, if that's what happens, you would move on. Makes sense to me.
Well, that's what I was saying when you asked me earlier. Where are their players, right? And according to them, they talk about the fact that they have 150 million MAU, but we know that they've sold somewhere around 25 million Series X and S's, right? So those 125 million other people consuming Xbox products and services are consuming them somewhere besides the console. Mm-hmm. And that upside down factor, right, is going to eventually weigh in on decisions that they make, particularly if they have to get to 100 million, 130 million Game Pass subscribers.
And that's my point. Like KT thinks that Xbox, the console, is the only entry point. It's not. He's saying they need it because it's the entry. It's not. PC, mobile now, which they're going to pivot mobile. They're going to invest heavily in mobile. But also, I think you said this, Slomo.
There's a lot of people
Game Pass is the platform now.
Game Pass. Yeah, right. There's a lot of people in this community that have Game Pass and don't have an Xbox. Now, to further, so that people don't like clip this and say slow-mo saying they're not going to have another Xbox, you know, so that
No,
like,
they will next gen.
Hold on. Let me get my full point out. In that scenario where they have that cadence of 4 games a year, and these are excellent, high quality games, and they're getting some Game of the Year nominations and even wins, I do not agree with Phil Spencer in his thought process that Starfield is at 11 out of 10. That doesn't mean people are going to buy an Xbox. I think if Starfield was 11 out of 10, which it wasn't, but if it was, people would buy an Xbox. If in that scenario, if they're dropping consistent, high quality content, then people in the console market aren't going to sell a PlayStation, but they will invest in an Xbox. So I don't think that like that actual scenario will turn out the way it is if the software is what they bill it to be. Now, if it isn't, then yeah, you're going to be in a scenario where people are going to be like, hey, you know, you Starfield was cool, but then you also had a Redfall, and that's what we don't want. You don't want to see in 2024 another Redfall kind of release, and so that's the kind of stuff you got to weed out. You want to have a reputation for always dropping high quality content. And when you have that reputation and you're actually doing that on a consistent basis, then you're going to get those hardware sales that you're looking for. Now, is it going to be everybody? No. And you're probably still going to get more growth on PC. Yes, likely. But you can get growth on consoles. It's not impossible for Xbox to get growth on consoles. You just got to get people software that they want to play.
Yeah, no, I don't disagree with that. Go ahead, Forte, and then I want to read Satya Nadella's comments on MSN.
No, I just think that it ultimately comes back to, you know, with another system coming, I don't think they're going to stop making them. I also just think it just comes down to what R&D. Like the moment that R&D costs more for the investment to make a system than it is for people that buy that system and purchase games on that system, that's when I think you'll see Xbox kind of pivot. Because, you know, they always say, you know, even if you're not making as much as you should be making, as long as you're not losing money or you're at least making enough profit to the point where it's still beneficial to still cater to that user base, they'll still make consoles. I mean, even at this 25, I mean, we don't know what the overall financial ramifications of making a console is for them, but you would think that even if they're at 25, 30 million across, you know, Xbox right now with the two systems, they're probably didn't lose money in that venture to make those consoles. Of course, they want to sell more of them, but this also goes back to that conversation that, you know, in those documents where they want to have 110, 120 plus million people inside of Game Pass, and they want most of those people to be off platform. So if you look at just the Game Pass numbers, they only look at like 50 million, like a max of 50 million of those Patreons on console, meaning they're only looking at 50 to 60 million consoles sold as it is anyway. So it's like, I don't think they're ever going to, I mean, you can never say never. I don't think they're going to go away from the console until they don't see a benefit in revenue making up, you know, the R&D that's going to cost them to make that console in general. At some point, we're going to probably get to a point where they don't make consoles just due to the fact that streaming is so viable that it's almost doesn't need to happen. But we're so far away from that. I just don't see this generation, well, of course, this generation, the next generation, or the generation after that. Now, if you're talking 15, 20 years from now, that could be something completely different. But as long as the revenue is there for the people that do buy those consoles, I think those consoles will continue to get made.
But my thing is that what I'm saying is we're seeing data pointing for that trend in the opposite direction.
No,
right?
yeah, well, no, it is. But what, like, okay, so what is 20? Okay, if we're just going, if we go off of the data points that they're looking at for 2030, if they're like 2030, like we're what 5 years, no, 6 years away from that.
Real quick, we were talking about the Xbox hardware sales being down, right?
No, that's what I'm talking about.
Yeah,
so think about it.
You look at the last 4 quarters, down 7%. That's with Starfield. down 13%, down 30%, down 13%.
Okay. I'm trying to tell you, if they're at 20, okay, so they're halfway through the 3 years into the generation. And this is just all going off of like numbers that supposedly they, that got leaked
and this
out.
is, by the way, this is also with offering a cheap entry point to next gen console gaming and offering.
And they're still going to offer. They're still offering that through 2028. Still, yeah, it looks like.
But I'm saying, but my point is, this is with them offering a cheap entry point into console gaming and a cheap entry point into gaming with Game Pass. They're still down with those two things.
Okay, so what would you think they was going to be at in 2030 when they only got 50 million to 60 million consoles out there, and they want majority of their gamers to be off platform anyway? What do we expect that number to be in 2023? If they're only saying they only want 60 million people
according
on
to Microsoft,
console.
According to Microsoft, they need to be to 130 million Game Pass subscribers by 2030.
Yes, and the majority of that, they said they want off platform. They said they want the majority off platform, which is of that graph. It was 130 million subscribers inside of Game Pass, and that mean and it was 50 million at console. Like between 50 and 60 million were on console, meaning they had 60 to 70 million people off console. It wasn't like it was 80 million on console or 100 million on console. They wanted 50 to 60. So I mean, I don't disagree with what you guys are saying, because I do think it's very alarming and troubling that number is declining. But if you just extrapolate their numbers over the stuff that they're talking about, they want Game Pass to be over the next 7 years, that console number really doesn't grow. It only doubles in the next 6 years. And a lot of people would say that's not good enough.
Before that, I'm even trying to follow the math that says that the number is going to double.
I don't know if it is going to double. That's the question.
I mean, we're sitting in a quarter with them. What's the console number down now again? 7% down. We're sitting in a quarter. We're sitting in a quarter where they launched Starfield, which is first original IP from Bethesda.
But if it was only on Xbox, then that would be different. The fact that thing was going to, everybody knew that thing was going to sell like crazy on PC, and the fact that Xbox gives an avenue to play those games on PC is drastically going to hurt the sales of the Xbox. And that's something we knew. We knew that was going to happen.
That's what I'm saying, and that's going to be true for all of their first party games. And I'm just gonna say, let's just say this as a hypothetical. In terms of impact, splash, summer blockbuster, right? Michael Bay level, right? There is nothing coming out from Xbox that we know of that has bigger splash potential than Starfield. This is the peak. And so if they're at 24 million consoles now, and in that same quarter, they're down 7% on hardware, and again, I ask this question for the sake of argument, and notionally everything is downhill from here. I don't see how them. I don't see them getting to 48 million.
I think everything's downhill based on everything where it is now.
The pinnacle. I disagree.
I don't think that's the pin. I mean,
I'm not saying that it's the best game. I'm saying that it has the potential for the highest market penetration and highest market uptake.
I think Fable has more. I would say Fable
really?
has more.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, I don't know about that.
I would say when it comes to appeal, most people people like Bethesda games. There are certain people who like Bethesda games. That encumberment and ham face that we used to all laugh at, and the way they do their RPGs. Not everybody is cool with that. Visually,
right.
Like Starfield is the best looking game they've ever made, and it still is ho-hum compared to a lot of other AAA games, not even first party AAA games. That isn't the kind of thing that I think that is like got the most star potential. You look at what Playground Games showed with Fable. If it actually comes out looking like that, that's going to do way more numbers than not. Let me clarify. That's going to have the kind of impact that you're probably talking about, because that's something that you could people can look at it and say, see the cutscenes and say, wow, that's what the game looks like, and you actually play the game. If you remember how Fable played, like everything that that literally showed is what the game was. And so if that's what it turns out to be, yeah, I could definitely see Fable having a bigger impact due to the kind of game that it can be. But I could name multiple games I think could do more. I mean, the next Gears could probably do more. The thing is that it's like, just because it's a Bethesda first party game and Skyrim sold so great doesn't mean that like that's what Starfield was ever going to be, even if it launched on PlayStation 2 as well. I mean, it's just, I mean, honestly, if it launched on PlayStation and they weren't acquired by Xbox, it would have launched last year, and it would have been an even buggier game than it turned out to be this year. So I just disagree. I don't think that's the pinnacle for them. I think they have potential for more out there.
I think the biggest thing is so where they sit at right now with all their games that they released, one of the games they did release over this year, I truly think that the next year, maybe two, will be tell the tale of where they're going to end up at, because I think with Activision coming on board, I don't think people are going to switch consoles because of games like Call of Duty or something like that. But I also think it really depends on how they go about the marketing of that. Like, the biggest thing that kind of happened back in 2013 that people didn't realize is when Xbox still had that marketing deal, they still had the highest sale, even though PlayStation was outselling them. They still had the most players in Call of Duty, and then they had the Call of Duty championships and stuff back then. And then when that stuff flipped, that's when everything flipped for them, on top of selling more systems when it came to PlayStation. So I just think that with more and more people coming into gaming, like, picking up these next generation consoles, I think that's going to really tell the tale, because like Phil Spencer said in a lot of his documents and emails, what Activision wasn't going to fix the problem. It was mostly the accelerator to the problem. So now they have an option, another big game that they can put into a service or whatever they're going to do whenever that's finally going to hit the service. We don't know. That's kind of what the next 1 to 2 years is going to be about. If they can't right the ship with a game like Call of Duty in their service and people having the option to play at a real low price that way, because people are always saying, well, what about the people that play just nothing but Call of Duty? Why would they pay $70? I agree. Those are the people that are going to pay $70 for the game because that's the only thing they play. But you got those people that will literally they buy Call of Duty to play it for 3 months and then they don't play it anymore. They're the ones that trade the game in and they move on to the next game. Or then you got those people that only come back when there's certain events for the game. So I can see a future where people buy the game, people subscribe to Game Pass to play it for probably 1 to 2 months. They stop playing it, and then they come back whenever something else is in there. And that could be like the catalyst to kind of boost their revenue and their overall engagement with consoles and Game Pass again as a whole. But the one thing I will say is if they don't move the needle within the next 2 years, especially with a game like Call of Duty being in their stable, that's when I think a lot of the stuff your guys are saying are kind of really, really worrisome at that point, because you have all of the ammunition at that point. You're not really missing on anything. It just comes down to making quality games. And then you got an ace in your hole with Call of Duty releasing every year.
So I guess one of the things that, and I'm not, totally being dismissive of the argument Slow-Mo made about Fable, but I guess maybe I want to tweak that argument a little bit. And so what we're saying, if we're saying Fable has the potential to make a bigger splash than Starfield, it's got to make that splash on PC. I guess I'm doubtful of the notion of Fable having more traction on PC than Starfield does.
Why does it have to make that bigger splash on PC?
Well, because at the end of the day, right, the total addressable market on console isn't going to move that much, right? And we know that the Starfield uptake was higher on PC. I mean,
that's a different game, a different kind of game. Fable is traditionally a game that is known on consoles and not on PC. So I wouldn't expect PC gamers to like that. You might get something that will jump on it just because, hey, look, it looks pretty cool and I want to give it a shot. But like Fable's a game that was traditionally like always on Xbox. It's a game that Xbox gamers would remember, even the ones that used to be on Xbox and 360 and left during the Xbox One generation. And then in addition to newer gamers that are like, like KT, the GOAT in the chat, who just hit puberty, those guys weren't even alive when the Fable was in this heyday. They might actually enjoy it and come to find out, it's a pretty cool game. I think it's I mean, we're all speculating here, but I just think that like Fable has the potential. And I think it's far more marketable than what Starfield was, a first person perspective RPG. Whereas you got Fable visually looking the way they showed it, that's going to be third person perspective. Have all the traditional humor that people enjoyed, and yet also if they nailed the action elements of it just right, something that people can really gravitate towards. I think in today's market could be more marketable than, forgive me for saying this, an outdated RPG.
Yeah, so
outdated RPG elements.
So the way that math would have to work, just to make sure I understand, is what we're saying in that hypothesis is that uptake on Xbox will be so much higher that it compensates and exceeds for what Starfield did on PC, and that overall at the end, overall uptake for Fable winds up then higher.
Yeah, and I think I'm not expecting, and I'm not saying it's absolutely going to sell consoles, right? But I am saying that I think that and I don't think Fable comes out next year either. I think it comes out in 2025. But let's say 2024 is a great year for them. Let's say Hellblade 2 actually, it was a surprise. Them not showing combat was a nice little switcheroo, and the combat's amazing and the game's great, and it's going to be a Game of the Year nominee. Everyone loves it, right? What else is supposed to come out next year? What else we got for Xbox next year outside of Hellblade 2? There's Avowed.
Avowed, yeah.
Okay, let's say all those games hit. They're great, right? And then the buzz is, well, you're getting some good games from Xbox. There's no Redfall to laugh at. There's zero Redfalls. By the time Fable comes out, if you're generating enough buzz and positive influence at that point, I think a lot more people are starting to pay attention to what Xbox has to offer. And then we'll see something like a Fable that has the kind of, that can get people to say, oh, I want to try that out because it seems more fun than an outdated Bethesda RPG. That's just, and of course, this is my opinion. I could be completely wrong. I don't know. I don't care. But I just kind of feel like it has more potential for growth of a platform than Starfield did. Starfield was always going to blow up on PC. And not surprised at all that even with the $100 version was number one on Steam when it first came out, $100. Remember when PC gamers was like, I'm not spending $70 on a game. They spent $100 on Starfield. I mean, that was cat, and we knew that. But I think that I think Fable is the kind of game that it has more potential on console than PC, and if it really hits, then you're going to get people to buy Xboxes to play it. I think that I felt that way about Starfield. Starfield turned out like in Phil Spencer's example. It's an 11 out of 10 game. No, Phil, no one's going to sell their Xbox for 11 out of 10 Starfield, but they might pick up an Xbox along with their PlayStation if it really was an 11 out of 10 game. And so if you make, I'm gonna just repeat what I said before, if you make great games, it doesn't matter what platform you have, people will go to it. And if they're console gamers that don't want to bother with PC, that I don't think that changes the fact they still want to play great games.
Okay. The only two other things I'll say is GKN Co in the chat is saying even Forza Horizon 5 made a big impact for Playground on Xbox and PC. Starfield isn't the highest. So Forza 5's impact was not as high as Starfield's in terms of revenue, because Starfield charted number 1 on the NPD monthly chart. Forza Horizon 5 did not. So no, it didn't have the same revenue impact as Starfield. And the only other thing is, I'll mention just on that theory on Fable selling Xboxes, etc. I think the other thing I'm considering is, at that point, you're now in 2025. You're 5 years into the console generation. You have 2 years to go before the new thing comes out. And I just wonder if that will have a chilling effect on the notion of people picking up Xboxes to play Fable. But again, that's not to make an argument. That's just to throw another data point out there.
Cool.
Yeah, and just looking at, I was just looking at Fable's the entire Fable series sold 12.6 million copies. Fable 2 sold 5 million.
That's old data with old games. Regame doesn't mean anything in today's market.
That's the old model.
That's the old model. I'm sorry. You're right. That's the old model. My bad. I should have included Mao. Should have included Mao. I should have included Mao. I'm sorry. Yeah, you as the resident Bethesda stand on this panel, I will not tolerate any slander of a Fable game having more impact than a Bethesda game, and I'll just leave it at that. I think
you enjoy your ham faces.
Hey,
okay,
let me enjoy my Subway ham faces.
You enjoy your space game where everyone has to be so modest and all covered up all the time. I'm just like, we agree. Like this, every woman in this game wearing man pants. What's happening?
Hey, you leave Sarah alone. It's not her fault that she can't make it on the tram. It's not her fault that she falls to the floor of the spaceship when I'm trying to talk to her.
Man, look, I'm Team Andrea, man. Sarah, as soon as Andrea joined the party, I was like, Sarah, I will see you at the lodge. Bye.
Hey, I thought about it,
Get
though.
out.
I'm not going to lie. I thought about it.
Get out.
I thought about it.
I ain't trying to see you no more.
Yeah. No,
Yeah,
We break it up.
And Slomo, you and Forte said we're just speculating. I will just remind you guys are speculating. I'm giving consumers assurances of what's going to happen, so that they can base their buying decisions and plans around the future that I'm predicting.
That's still speculation. It's a prediction.
We'll stand on this stone and see who's right here in a few more years, bro.
We will. On BRAP episode 544.
I'm not look
on episode, huh?
And I'm not so sure. I think obviously I think COD's a big get, but I think the big thing for them with COD is the massive injection of revenue that game is going to produce for them.
That's all COD doing for them is
it's going to be about a 40% increase in revenue next quarter for them. 40-50%.
Can you imagine what that number and just already be ready for whatever the number is going to be?
Oh yeah, it's going to be massive. I mean, it's going to be
year over year. Yeah, their year over year numbers are going to look ridiculous for
because the acquisition. Absolutely,
next 12 months exactly. But then after that's over, it's going to be like, remember when the pandemic happened? I mean, we kind of still deal in a post-pandemic, a semi-pandemic era, but anyway. When the pandemic first happened and like people were stuck in their homes, they're just like, I'm bored, I have nothing to do. They started buying consoles and playing games, and then all that revenue jumped up, right? And all that year over year growth. And then when people started to get out of their homes again, and the lockdowns were over, and people started to deal with the new normal, you started to see, hey, look, seeing some of these numbers, some of these year over year numbers aren't looking so hot because they're fighting against people who really they were part-time gamers. They were casual part-time gamers that was only doing it because they were forced to by a worldwide pandemic that hasn't really been seen, in a long time. So it's a different kind of thing. And so for them, with the biggest acquisition ever in gaming, yeah, their numbers are going to look ridiculous for the next 12 months. But what you really probably should be looking at is like 24 months from now. Like what's happening after everything's adjusted and you got your you got your Xbox revenue and all the other measurables, and they're already dealing year over year compared to what you already had with Call of Duty and Activision Blizzard already. So it's just like, how are you growing now with that? That's going to be what's important, because you can't hide how bad Xbox is doing or how great Xbox is doing, whatever, behind what Call of Duty provided you compared to what you had when you didn't have Call of Duty. So it's going to be interesting.
Yeah, and I don't. There's no question that their revenue is going to increase. Just to go back to what Forte was proposing, what I question is the notion that people are going to go out and buy an Xbox to gain access to COD for $17 a month, because with the way that Microsoft is approaching their strategy. Because the question becomes, am I going to do that just so I can get access to a game that is being made available elsewhere, where I really don't have a mandate to buy Microsoft hardware? Or am I going to go purchase a piece of hardware where I can gain access to Xbox games, because Xbox's strategy is to put their games everywhere, as well as the exclusives that are available on that console and are not available on the Xbox?
So I don't think, like I said, I don't think anybody that already has like a PlayStation, I don't think I mean,
I'm saying new too. I'm saying new customers too.
Well, new customers, I mean, it depends on what you're into. It depends on what. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. It depends on what you're into. If you, like I always tell people when they come into the store, if you are into a particular type of game, because I tell people all the 95% of the games are on both consoles. It just really comes down to like what your taste in gaming is. If you're more of a single player focused person, you're probably going to be a little bit more generous to go over to the PlayStation side, because there's a lot of games over there. There's a lot of story driven games over there that aren't available on Xbox. Well, as of what we used to have this conversation, there's a lot more of them, but it's still kind of geared in that direction when it comes to PlayStation, until this whole games of the service thing takes off, to see what their multiplayer offerings start looking like. And then it's the opposite with Xbox. It's like, yes, you could play a lot of multiplayer games on PlayStation, but that's still one of the biggest selling points to being on the Xbox, because of the multiplayer suite that it has. If you don't care about the PlayStation stuff, you'll go over to the Xbox because all you want to do is play those type of games. But if you care anything about any of those type of story-driven games, then yes, those people are going over to PlayStation. I just think there's a path that they have to navigate, but the only way that path is going to be fruitful for them is if they do what Slow-Mo said: make compelling games that people want to play. Call of Duty is not going to be the solve all problem that they have. That's just going to be something that's going to be there to help usher people to make a decision, or even make people think about what decision they want to do when it comes to picking their next generation or next console. But if they have other games that can stack up with that, to kind of make people feel like, oh, it's not just this game I'm interested in, I'm interested in this too. Now, at that point, they had the decision between PC and Xbox. And at that point, Xbox really doesn't care. So I agree with you. It just ultimately comes down to Xbox has a path. They just have to navigate that path. And that's something that we want to see them do over the next couple of years that they haven't done up until this point for the most part.
I just want to say real quick, and this isn't really more of what we're talking about, because we're talking about like new customers for Call of Duty, but what may infer how that might turn out with growth is that if you look at what the numbers that came out from the hearings with the FTC about PlayStation, and so like apparently I think they got these numbers from 2011. But in 2011, 1 million PlayStation gamers only played Call of Duty, and that's all they played.
Yeah.
And
1 million.
There were very high numbers showing you have a demographic of COD players on PlayStation who either only play COD or play COD for like 90% of their gaming.
That was the other one. It wasn't 90%, it was 70%. They said 70% of PlayStation gamers, 6 million of those play Call of Duty 70% of their time on PlayStation. Yeah. So if you look at and that's for the entire total install base. I don't know how someone decides to break that down on an annual basis of new players with that. Now you have Call of Duty marketing towards, however your ecosystem. You're not going to market it to go on PlayStation, but people going to buy it on PlayStation, so be it. But now that you got the marketing back, I don't know what the growth is on the kind of new gamer who's only going to play Call of Duty, or like 2/3 of their time on your platform play Call of Duty. But whatever it is, I don't think it's a high enough number to where you're going to start to see like a massive shift in the percentages. Because the percentages is like 50% of all Call of Duty players are on mobile, and then
that's the biggest, yeah.
Yeah, and the next highest percentage is PC, and then after that it's PlayStation, and it's PlayStation, and then Xbox, and even PlayStation, Xbox combined doesn't equal the amount of Call of Duty players that are on PC. So you could actually see, again, here we kind of talk about like the growth, and I can see where Logic and Enrique are coming from, where when it comes to Call of Duty, a lot of the growth with Game Pass and revenue will probably come from the PC side more than the console side, because I mean that's primarily the console side is the smallest piece of the entire pie right now, and I don't really Call of Duty, unless Call of Duty drastically changes under them, which I doubt. They're going to keep the machine going. Those numbers are likely to be consistent with how people engage with the IP.
Well, let me add to that, and let me talk about what the significant change is going to be. The significant change is going to be in mobile, because what we're going to see is we're going to see COD Mobile go away as it currently exists. It's because Tencent does that. Microsoft is not going to be throwing revenue in the direction of Tencent for its IP that it owns now. It's going to take that in-house. It's going to build COD Mobile. That COD Mobile is going to become synonymous with what people are playing on PC and console, because that is the Microsoft strategy, that it's building out a platform and building out communities where people are able to play at parity regardless of what hardware device they're on. And so they're going to stop having this bifurcated community where some people are playing this wackadoodle one-off version of COD on mobile and people are playing something different on the other devices. They're going to converge that, and they're going to drive all that revenue in their direction. This is shitification, right? Because they're going to take the revenue out of the hands of Tencent, right, and drive it all to them, because they are now in entire control of the choke point. And so that's part of the pivot that we're going to see. Yeah. And that's where you're also going to see then a lot of the growth.
Yeah.
Yeah, I want to quote Satya Nadella, interview on MSN. We talked about gaming for Microsoft. He said that for us, there are a few things that go all the way back for us as a company. Gaming is one. When I think about Microsoft, I think of perhaps developer tools, proprietary software, and gaming. Those are the three things that we've done from the very beginning. If I look at the amount of time people allocate to gaming is going up, and Gen Z is doing more, is going to do more of that. The way games are made, the way games are delivered is changing radically, whether it's mobile or consoles or PCs or even the cloud. So we're looking forward to really doubling down on both as a game producer and a publisher. Now, we'll be one of the largest game publishers, and also as a company that's building platforms for it. So that was Satya's recent commentary. I think this was it's been yesterday, maybe, I think, on MSN, where he had the interview sat down. So
yeah, it was MSN.
Yeah. So I thought this was an interesting commentary when he talked about building platforms. As a large gaming publisher. So I'll go to you, Logic, with this. What were your takeaways with what Satya said?
I mean, same thing we've been talking about, right? He didn't really talk about them being a console platform owner. He talked about platforms in the higher sense of the term, right? Where we talk about infrastructure and services and services as a platform. And like we've been talking about all night. I mean, that's my feeling of the direction they're going in. right? Emphasize being a game producer and publisher.
Yeah. What about you, Slomo?
I was not paying attention because I'm busy looking.
Because you're playing Spider-Man. All right, I'll go to Forte
and
then.
I am so mad because I want to punch the guy in it at Insomniac who decided to do this Spider-Bot thing the way he did. Everything else with this platinum chase is fine, but these daggone Spider-Bots, man,
Are they worse than the pigeons?
Yes.
Oh.
This Spider-Bot stuff is, and maybe I just feel that way because in the moment I'm doing this, and I don't know how I felt about the pigeons at that time, but how I feel right now, like, yeah, I don't like the Spider-Bots, man. I just want
the pigeons were annoying. Yeah,
the pigeons were annoying, but this is also equally annoying. But
yeah, I'll go
easy platinum.
So I'll go to Forte then. It's
Shoot, I almost forgot what you had said. Listening to Slomo get his opinion on how much he hates Spider-Bots.
Oh man, yeah. All right. Let me read the last.
Derailed the show.
Yeah, let me read the last paragraph. All right, so Satya at the end says, so we're looking forward to really doubling down, both as a game producer and a publisher. Now we'll be one of the largest game publishers, and also as a company that's building platforms for it. That's what he said. That's the last paragraph. So, thoughts, Forte, or Slomo, if Slomo was paying attention.
Okay, I think he means.
Said if Slomo was paying attention.
I think he means consoles, PC, that little ugly handheld picture they showed, and that little
the dongle.
Yes, the X dong. The other, all the other. I think he means all that crap. Yeah, that's what I think he meant.
Yeah. Okay. Forte, I'm assuming you probably agree with him, right?
No, I think that's what he meant too. The X dong. Man, the Keystone, the thing that they shut down multiple times.
You don't want that X dong.
You don't want, we're not
doing that. Yeah.
We're not calling that slow.
It's done. It's the name, man. It's the X.
Well, I think Phil said like they couldn't get it at a reasonable price, so it just didn't make sense for them to. Oh man, listen, come on, Slow-mo.
He couldn't get it at a reasonable price. Hey man, X dong is expensive, man.
So we all agree Xbox is going to become the Microsoft Surface of consoles.
I think that's where this is heading. Look, I think it's Satya doesn't like hardware. I mean, Satya even said that if it was up to him, that Xbox wouldn't have any first party, they wouldn't have exclusive content.
Hey, what was the biggest thing that Satya did within his first 2 years of his tenure as CEO?
Killed Windows Phone.
Killed it. Laid off everybody from Nokia, shut them down, including Stephen Elop. Shut them down because he said.
Didn't he say that was a mistake?
Yep. Yeah, he just recently said in that MSN interview that looking back at it, he wishes they would have maybe done something different to keep the business going.
See, he learns.
Bruh, but he hasn't changed. He hasn't changed strategy. He still says, "I want my software to be where the users are."
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
He comes from a cloud background, and this is me projecting too, right? The way I would think about it, I look at the entirety of the Microsoft business model, and the one of these kids that does not look like the other is Xbox.
Oh, that's racist.
And what?
That is crazy.
Oh man!
Come on, you walked into that one though.
This is all you're getting from me. It's late, man. This is all you're getting. Is jokes, man.
And so I look at that and I think about efficiency. I think about this acquisition, right? And how it took so many people's focus, right? Because this is the thing that we have to do. What I, as CEO, what I really want to concentrate on is AI. Right, is cloud. This is the thing that's a pain in my ass. Phil's constantly in my flipping office with his GLT, whining, complaining, and belly aching about him needing to borrow $70 billion of daddy Satya's money, right, to make his ship go when I've already given him tons of resources over the last 10 years? And eventually, at some point, I'm going to go, hey, look, time out, right? I want a business that is harmonized with the rest of the entirety of my multi-trillion-dollar corporation so that when I'm making decisions and I'm creating operational efficiencies, that the Xbox thing goes along with it. Not I make a decision that is great for, 95% of my company, 92% of my corporation, but that doesn't necessarily help out this one redheaded stepchild over here in the corner.
You're so racist.
Froggy T writes angry at you. He's like, you're projecting. Froggy T writes, you're projecting. Stop projecting. Look, there's that conversation that Phil and Satya had. Satya did want to kill Xbox at one point. Phil pitched Game Pass, and the rest is history. But I have always thought that once Satya took over, that Xbox really doesn't. And you look how they're treating Windows Surface now. You look how they treated.
Let's not forget that Panos just left.
Panos Panay just left. They seem to be pulling back a little bit on Surface tablets now. I'm telling. Look, I'm not saying they're not going to make hardware, but I don't think they're. I think next generations are last. What we know is traditional Xbox console hardware, barring some kind of miracle rebound in console sales, and they just knock it out of the park. I just don't. I don't. Yeah. I don't think so. I think this is. I think. Although Slomo wants the Xbox dong.
Hey, I don't want that dong.
I think for
that
them,
dong away from me.
I think that's. I think they're look. I mean, like Phil talked about it. Like he's we're not going to out console Sony. We're not going to out console Nintendo. We got to go our own route. And I think if you read the tea leaves. What is he saying? We want our games everywhere. We want them to be accessible, meaning that we want them to be cost effective. We want people to be able to enjoy a game without having to break the bank per se. That seems counter to traditional console model to hardware. Just going out and spending $500 on this next gen machine that eats monsters for breakfast. So I think the writing's on the wall. I think that's the pivot, and there's nothing wrong with that. I don't think there's anything wrong with that at all. They got to make money. That's what they're in the business to do: make money.
Yeah. Hey, Sega left the hardware business, and I buy a Creative Assembly game every time those guys put one out.
No. I mean, I think they'll make a dongle. That's a.
It's where the money's at, man.
Yeah, it's a cheap entry point for them, for gamers who don't have the TV sets that have an app. But I think you'll see they want the Game Pass app on TVs. They want to be able to have you stream or access Game Pass through television, smart TVs.
They want Satya will be his most happy when Game Pass becomes an app icon, and that app icon is available everywhere.
Yeah, and Froggy T, right? You may have missed the trends that we just reported on Xbox console sales being negative for 4 consecutive quarters, negative growth 4 consecutive quarters, 3 years into the console generation. Historically speaking, that's not what happens. That's the opposite. They're actually trending worse than the Xbox One now. So you're saying they're leaving money on the table? I mean, they're going to make that up. It was that word, economies of scale. They're going to make it up in numbers and other devices like mobile.
Look, he's part of the loud 9%. I understand it. You look. I applaud your demographic. You guys have held on. You're the last man standing. You're going down with the ship. Like, I appreciate it. I would be doing the same thing. I mean, be the proud 9%. Get T-shirts made.
Yeah. T-shirt.
We're the last 16%.
Yeah, they're the 4,400.
Oh man,
that was a good show, by the way.
That was a good show.
Damn Sci-Fi Channel.
Slobo, would you buy the dongle?
I'm not buying the dongle, man.
Yeah. Well, Froggy T, right? If you play on PC, then enjoy your PC. So enjoy your PC, man.
Hey, it's a little bit of a serious question because I mean, I eventually I'll probably have to make the same decision too. If Xbox, just go with me. If Xbox went that route, if there was no longer the high end console, right? But Xbox games were being made, and they were good games, and they were being made available everywhere. Would you? And you said you're not going to buy the dongle. Would you buy the?
You will buy the dongle.
I'm not buying that dongle.
Would you buy those games and access them via GeForce Now, or would you access them like on a mobile device via Xbox Game Pass?
Mobile? Heck no. I don't like mobile. The screens are too small, and I don't like the way the controls are. I'm uncomfortable with even though they're not bad controllers like the Backbone and what's the Razer Kishi and other little devices like that. Even when I had the Steam Deck, I was always docking it and playing it on a monitor or TV. Same with my Nintendo Switch. I'm not into the mobile side of things. As far as cloud goes, if they can get their cloud gaming infrastructure as good as GeForce Now, it could be a good secondary option for me. I would never give up like my PC. That's where I'm always going to be primarily.
So you would access them over the cloud via PC?
No, I'll still play the games natively.
You would buy them on Steam. Okay.
Yeah. I will. But you mean like say if they did away with the Xbox app on PC as well?
No, I guess I should have asked the question better. I guess my question is, if there were no longer a high-end console, but Xbox was still publishing games and they were good games, how would you? I should have just asked you, how would you go about accessing them?
Oh yeah, I would just access them on PC the way I'm doing right now. Basically.
Yeah. I mean, I would do the same thing, and that's why I left the Xbox. That's why I don't own an Xbox console. I don't need it. I mean, they didn't put out a game that really took advantage of the Series X hardware, in my opinion. And I was like, if I want the definitive Xbox experience, it's going to happen on PC. You know, and if I didn't have a PC, I'd buy myself and Slow-Mo a dongle.
Forte, what about you? Because it's just a hypothetical that I honestly wouldn't want to hear. What you would do if presented with that option.
So if they did have a high end, see, I'm already in that boat. Whereas if I really don't see the benefit of having an Xbox because everything I can play is going to be on PC anyway. So the only reason I buy consoles now for the most part are to play with individuals that don't have the ability to play on PC, and with a lot of the games being cross-platform now, it just makes it easier and an easier choice for me just to buy and stay on PC. So if they didn't have one, it wouldn't really change my behavior as it is right now. It would just be the same.
Okay, gotcha.
Yeah. I was gonna say real quick. So I don't know if you guys remember or not. I built my son a PC. So he transitioned off of Xbox Series S. Went in.
Slow-Mo, you have been nominated for Father of the Year. That just came in, by the way.
Oh, thank you. It's about time. I got snubbed last year. Anyway, no. He gave his Xbox Series S to my daughter, who probably plays games now more than he does. She's a little gamer, She doesn't just play Roblox. She's been playing Forza Horizon 5. She's been going through that Game Pass catalog more. Well, what she can. She's 7 years old. She can't play too much, but she's been playing what she can. Anyway, she came to me maybe a month ago and said she wanted the PC too. And I'm just like,
damn.
The Xbox is getting passed around.
Shocking.
I'm gonna see if my middle child, who don't like games at all, might want it. He probably ain't gonna use it much, But like that Xbox just keeps getting passed around. It ain't gonna get much use if I end up building her a PC. I told her she gonna have to wait a little while before I decide to get her, because I just can't picture a 7-year-old. I don't even know how to really parental control that. There's just too much going on the Windows PC. So I'll just I like her. Daddy is more comfortable with her in a closed ecosystem right now, but eventually she's definitely going to eventually end up getting her own PC too. So
yeah,
I think it's the way it's going, man.
Yeah, and I think it's not that people wouldn't want to buy a system. It's not like I wouldn't. Like, I'm one of those people that don't care. Like, I used to just be console only, but the easier it's become to just play those games cross-platform now, it's like I'm all about having better performance than anything. And if consoles had better performance where I didn't have to worry about 60 frames per second or anything like that, then I would play on console majority of the time, because I think console is easier. It's definitely the easier experience. Sometimes you don't want to sit at your desk. Sometimes you want to play on your TV, and that's the great thing that consoles provide. But with the status of how they come out with these games and how they really do not value performance as much as the graphical look of games, it just makes it easier. So it's more of the direction that developers and stuff go when it comes to their development of games on console versus how you can experience those same games on PC. And with Xbox having all their games available on PC for the most part, it just makes it an easier choice. It would be the same choice if PlayStation did it. If PlayStation was to go go all PC, and those games came out quicker and you didn't have to wait for them to come on PC, people wouldn't buy a PlayStation either. People like me wouldn't buy a PlayStation, I should say. So it's not just an Xbox thing.
I wish.
I was gonna say, so it's not just an Xbox thing. It's just for us. It's like it's no reason to have a PlayStation if they release the games day and date on PC. I can do the same thing I do with Xbox.
Yeah, and xCloud works pretty well on tablets from what I've experienced too.
True.
So
it is past midnight. Why are we?
Yeah, I don't know why. I don't know why we're still alive. I want to go play Spider-Man before I go to bed. I know.
Come play Battlefield. That's what you need to play.
Nah, I like to play good games.
Oh shit! I don't know if you knew what a good game was if it bit you.
Please. That's why I own a PlayStation.
That's what that got to do with anything? I own one too.
No, you don't.
Yeah, I do.
No, you don't. You own one of those dongles.
Oh, listen, I might own one of those dongles too. You never know.
Oh, wait a minute. Hold on now. I don't think I want to know that side of you, Forte.
You don't have to. It's fine.
Yeah, Mary Wilcox like, geez, BRAP, you're never on this late. No, I'm not. I'm not, Mary. But it's Slow-Mo's fault. We try to ask him questions. He's try to find the Spidey bots.
It is my fault. I apologize. I was derailing the conversation.
No, actually, Slow-Mo, I'm going to hop back on Halo Infinite, though.
You should.
Yeah.
Hey,
no, that's a good game, Forte.
Let me know when you're ready. I will be there.
Yeah, I definitely. I can't. I just can't get back to Battlefield. I
should, man.
If I'm gonna play a shooter, it's gonna be Halo Infinite.
That's right.
Because the Halo Infinite mechanics are so great. They're so good.
So much better than Battlefield, right?
Yeah, I don't disagree with that, Slow-Mo.
I'm just trying to tweak Forte right now.
Yeah. No, I
it's
think
still true though. It is true.
I think Halo Infinite is the best. In my opinion, I think Halo Infinite multiplayer is a better multiplayer shooter.
I agree.
So
1000%.
Yeah, But
yo, let's we doing outros, right?
Yeah, we're gonna do outro. So Slow-Mo Forte, you guys have the X Dong show tomorrow. Whose channels? I'm sorry, DPS.
The X Dog show tomorrow.
Oh man, can you imagine what the thumbnail would look like? No, yeah, DPS tomorrow on
Is that
on
what it looks like?
Forte's
Never mind.
Oh,
Slow-Mo's laughs. Oh my god.
On the DPS channel, I said, yeah, the DPS channel as well as Forte's channel tomorrow, 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. We're going to have a special guest. Come check us out to see who that special guest is. And hope you guys enjoy the rest of your night. If you're still awake, go to sleep. It's late. Get some rest.
Yeah, get some rest. Yeah, no, Slow-Mo.
Good for you.
No, thank you, Slow-Mo. Forte. Thank you. Always great seeing you, Forte, man. You've been around more, man. It's great having you back.
Yeah. Listen, man. I told you once I got out of the inventory season, I was able to come back to the show.
You've been on Crossfire, I think, too, like back-to-back weeks.
Yeah, I have been. But
I won't be on this Friday, Forte. I need you to cover for me.
Oh man, not like this. Oh no, but great show as always. Like Slow-Mo said, DPS podcast tomorrow night. Come check us out. And enjoy the games you're playing. Play some Battlefield, play some Call of Duty. I don't care what you play something. Have a good day. See you guys tomorrow and next week.
Yeah, go play some Halo Infinite Season 5 because like what Slow-Mo's saying, it's pretty good. So you got me hyped for that, Slow-Mo. I'm definitely going to hop back into it this weekend.
Yo, I'm ready. I'll be done with this daggone platinum probably tomorrow, and I'm down, man. Let's do it.
Yeah.
I'll be back on my multiplayer games now that I got this done, and I might play some Alan Wake. I don't know. I'm going to get it, but I don't know how long I'm playing Alan Wake. It's not my kind of game, as y'all know. So
the Alan Wake was the first Alan Wake was fantastic.
Yeah, I thought it was okay. I didn't really care for it. But I understand why people liked it, and it's just this one seems more like a mix of Alan Wake 1 and Resident Evil, So I don't know. I'm buying it. I'm mostly buying it because I want to see how it looks.
That path tracing, the path tracing looks incredible.
Yeah. So they got me sold with the technology. We'll see how long I stick with it though.
Yeah, I keep telling people, like, if you want the definitive gaming experience, it's not on console, it's on PC.
Man. You don't get that ashy ray tracing on PC, man. Well, you do with AMD, but but everyone else on PC is getting that real ray tracing goodness, man.
Hey, real quick, what did you guys think about the Xbox partner preview?
6 out of 10.
It's a C. It's a C show.
I will say this.
This is what I expected from it.
Yeah, me too. I think it's awesome that Snake Eater's coming to Xbox, though.
I thought it was always known as a multiplat.
Was it? I don't know. Maybe I missed that. But it was good to see at least footage of it, though.
Yeah, I mean, look, I thought it was on Fox Engine. I didn't know it was on.
No, it's on Unreal 5. Yeah, yeah. No, you don't want it on Fox Engine.
Interesting.
You don't want that.
Yeah, nobody cares about Fox Engine. But it looked interesting except for they got improved them walking animations. The walking animations was like dude had a load he was trying.
That's what you said. You said he looked like he was trying to squeeze one for coming out or something. You said.
Yeah,
I was like, what?
What is he doing? But no, like the tech with the deformation of the mud up against the water looked cool, and and the mud on Snake himself. I wonder how long it stays on him when you get out of muddy areas. It looked interesting, but it's, it was a pre-alpha tech demo, so it's not the game's gonna look different probably when it comes out. So
yeah. Oh man, KT the GOAT doesn't play on PC. He says a lot of power that's rarely used.
What?
Mm-hmm.
You don't know what you're talking about.
He's like, he goes, I spend more time on Dwarf Fortress, RimWorld, Counter-Strike Go, and he'll look trash.
You can play all that with a 1060. You know, keep your potato PC. We over here, we're playing some real stuff.
KT still got a Commodore 64, but that's okay. Look, yeah, definitely check out Forte.
Hey, man, the Oregon Trail, man.
The Oregon Trail, right? That was actually a good game.
In 1982.
It was great. Man. No, it was. But now Forte, Slow-Mo, always a pleasure. Please check them out tomorrow at DBS Podcast. Last but not least, Game Logic. Also, big shout out to Eric Jackson, who had to leave earlier. Appreciate EJ coming through. But Game Logic, I don't know if you want to be fanboy, everyone know where they can find you.
I won't do a plug. I'll actually do a Jerry Springer closeout. Look, I know some of you guys, a lot of you guys got very emotional in the chat and all in your feelings. And I know that often when you are presented with a withering barrage of data, your response is to double down on your emotions and your hopes and dreams and have that be your defensive stance. Look, the point of the conversation tonight and the goodness out of it is that maybe, just maybe, you were given cause to think of things from a different perspective, even if that was just to further entrench and defend your position. I think that's good. I mean, that's the whole point of us having these conversations and having points where we don't agree, is to pull them apart and decompose them and really dig into the underlying causality. So if you're yelling and screaming in chat, vigorously defending your position, and you came up with 2 or 3 new points that you hadn't had in your argument bag of tricks, then you got some good value out of it.
Yeah. That's a great point. That's a fair point. I didn't realize that I wanted an Xbox dongle until Slow-Mo brought it up. So,
hey man, it's coming. Watch out.
Let's walk that back.
Yeah, pause. We got to go.
You got to get your minds out of the gutter, man.
Slow-Mo's out of
talking about, man.
This would happen. Slow-Mo, you're like a gremlin. Can't feed you after midnight, man.
Yeah, maybe. Let's get out of here, man. I'm tired.
Yeah, I got to go play some Spider-Man. KT the Goat, I've asked you, what do you say? I asked you a few years ago to have me on the show. I'll say KT Goat, I appreciate that, but it's based on, I don't know. Let me think about it, because based on your commentary in the live chat, I frankly don't think it's something I want to engage in. No offense, but maybe. We'll see.
KT the Goat, do you have any bass in your voice? I'm suspecting no. If you don't have any bass in your voice, if you sound like Miles from Spider-Man, then it's a no-go. We can't have you on. We can't take you seriously. Every time you start talking, we're going to start snickering and giggling. It's just not going to be a very good. It's going to be very disrespectful. We wouldn't want to do that to you, and so it's just got. So you gotta have some bass in your voice, bro.
Yeah, KT, I don't think it's that you're emotional. I just don't. You just bring up some odd points that I just don't have the patience to have that conversation.
KT, that's not how you add. 3 + 7 = 10, not 37.
I don't even know who KT the Goat is. I've never seen him here before.
I'm just messing around with him. Man. He's just like, I hope he doesn't take any of this seriously.
I mean, I don't know. Maybe we'll have you on. I don't know. I mean, you said I'll give you data points, but I mean, you just told me that PlayStation's in trouble. So I don't know if I can have a serious conversation with you. So anyhow. All right. Well, we're out. Everyone enjoy the everyone, thank you so much for watching the show. Really appreciate it. It's been late. I'm going to play some Spider-Man, and we'll catch you next week. Yeah. Thank you, everyone. We'll catch you next time.